Hey guys, hope you are well. So, welcome to the Anime Fictions 2.0. This is the story about what if Naruto has wood and lava release. Part 2. Hope you love first part. If you love this whatif, do subscribe for more awesome whatif. Share with your friends and enjoy them. Check out the other videos I have created. Comment down your opinion. Share with your friends. So, without wasting any time, let's jump into the first part. Team 7 stood in the academy, watching the commotion taking place before them. A large group of genin were standing in front of the door to classroom 301, which was blocked by two cocky-looking genin, who were beating up a team that were trying to make their way inside. Naruto, Sasuke said, nudging his friend, who nodded. Yeah, this entire corridor is covered in chakra. Definitely a genjutsu. Well, even if you hadn't noticed it, people should notice the fact that we are just on the second floor. Hinata said softly, though in a much stronger voice than Naruto and Sasuke were used to. Let's just slip by, nice and quiet, Sasuke said as he started walking. This is probably something designed to weed out the weaklings. They reached the third floor, and were heading for room 301, when a voice came from above them. Hey you, the one with the dark eyes. They all looked up at the catwalk above to see a kid wearing a very tight, green jumpsuit, and orange leg warmers. His black hair had a bowl-cut style, and his eyebrows were amazingly thick. He was looking down at them, a very serious look on his face. What is it? Sasuke asked in boredom. Will you fight me right here? The kid asked. A fight right now? Sasuke asked, and the kid nodded, jumping down to their level, landing in a crouch. My name is Rock Lee. And you are Uchiha Sasuke. Hez, so you know? Sasuke asked, raising an eyebrow. I want to fight you, Rock Lee said. I want to test my techniques against the offspring of the genius ninja clan. You're challenging me, even knowing the Uchiha name, Sasuke said, narrowing his eyes a smidgen. Frankly, you're a fool. You're about to learn what this name means, thick brows. Please, Rock Lee said, getting into a stance where he held one of his hands in a come on gesture, the other hand behind his back. I'll say this. You cannot defeat me. Because right now I am the strongest Konoha genin. Sounds fun, I'll do it, Sasuke said with a smirk. Sasuke-kun, you really shouldn't, Hinata said, pointing up at the clock on the wall. We only have 30 minutes to get to the meeting. Don't worry, I'll be done in 5 minutes, Sasuke said simply. Hey, don't kill fellow Konoha ninja. Naruto muttered. Kill? Lee asked, raising an eyebrow. Well, I have long since learned not to underestimate any opponent, Sasuke said as he reached behind his back, grabbing his chikuto. I won't use ninjutsu, as I don't want to destroy the academy. However, I won't go easy on you, thick brows. Sasuke charged forward, but before he could unsheath his sword, Lee came at him with a spin kick, which forced him to duck. Lee didn't let up, however, instead spinning 360 degrees and lowering himself to aim another kick at Sasuke's ducking form with incredible speed. He's fast, Sasuke thought, jumping over the kick and twisting in midair, bringing his heel down toward Lee, who pushed off the ground and leapt out of the way. That was fast, Sasuke commented as he rose to his feet. You should feel proud of yourself. If we keep this up, and I don't use this, I won't keep up with you, he said, his irises turning red, two tomo appearing in each eye. Sasuke charged forward, brimming with confidence, only for Lee to duck and kick Sasuke up into the air without any effort, showing that he had been hiding his true speed all along, which made Sasuke grit his teeth as he flew through the air. Shit! What the hell was I talking about? I don't underestimate my opponents? You just did, you idiot! Sasuke barked at himself in his mind. My techniques are either ninjutsu or genjutsu, Lee said as he vanished, reappearing behind Sasuke in the air in a kagebyo, shadow dance. Yes. My techniques are simple taijutsu, Sasuke-kun. You may not believe it because it is so basic, but they say that the Sharingan has the ability to reveal all types of nin dash, gen dash, and taijutsu. It is true that by reading ninjutsu and genjutsu, which need chakra to be raised and seals to be formed, you get an advantage through the Sharingan, but taijutsu is a little different. What do you mean? Even if you can read my movements with your eyes, your body does not have the speed to react to my taijutsu. Basically, even if you can see it, if your body can't move, then it's useless. The bandages on Lee's hands loosened as they flew through the air, and Naruto's eyes immediately landed on Lee's hands as the boy kept speaking to Sasuke, something about the difference between geniuses and hard workers. Lee's hands were covered in bruises and stitches, signs that he had been training non-stop for a long time. Naruto knew, because his own hands once looked like that. Suddenly, a pinwheel flew through the air and pinned the bandages to the wall, stopping Lee in midair and causing him to fall to the ground, landing in a crouch, Sasuke flipping and landing in a crouch as well. "That's far enough, Lee!" yelled a ninja turtle that had suddenly arrived on the scene, which had thrown the pinwheel. "So, you were watching?" Lee muttered to the turtle in a kneeling position. "Lee, that technique is forbidden." "I'm sorry. I just." The turtle gave Lee a glare, making him flinch in fear. But I wasn't planning on using the other one." "Fool!" the turtle exclaimed, making Lee flinch yet again. "You think you can get away with an excuse like that? You already know what it means for a ninja to reveal his special techniques." "Yes." "Are you prepared to pay?" "Yes." "Then here comes Guy-sensei." An explosion of smoke erupted on the turtle's back, and when it cleared, an adult version of Rock Lee could be seen standing in a ridiculous pose, wearing a jounin vest. "Geez! You guys are the epitome of adolescence!" the man yelled out, freaking the entire Team 7 out with his appearance. "Lee!" he said, gesturing for Lee to come closer. When he did, he was punched in the face with enough force to send him flying. "You fool!" The man dropped down on one knee, staring sadly at Lee. You are. Sensei." "I. That's enough, Lee!" the man yelled, hugging Lee. "You don't need to say it." "Sensei." "Yes. This is what youth is all about." "Sensei." "What the hell are these freaks?" Sasuke muttered to Naruto, who crossed his arms. "I have no idea." "Creepy as hell, though," Naruto said, staring in disgust at the two spandex-wearing ninjas. At hearing Naruto's words, the man, Guy, looked over at them, making all three of them flinch. "Hey you guys, how's Kakashi-sensei doing?" "You know Kakashi?" Sasuke asked, surprised. "Know him?" Guy asked with a chuckle. Then, in the blink of an eye, he disappeared and reappeared behind the trio. "People refer to us as eternal rivals. 50 wins, 49 losses. I'm stronger than Kakashi. Sorry about Lee. I swear to this face it won't happen again. This beautiful face, that is." "You guys should head over to the classroom," he said as he threw a kunai at the pinwheel, knocking the bandages loose and allowing Lee to rewrap his hands. "Good luck, Lee. Later." With that, Guy vanished, while Lee gave a salute. "Sasuke-kun," Lee said, looking to Sasuke. "I'll say one more thing. The truth is, I came here to test my abilities. I lied before. Most likely, the strongest Konoha Genin is on my team. I've entered this to defeat him. And you're also one of my targets. Be prepared during the exam," he exclaimed, before jumping up on the catwalk again. "You are incredibly lucky no one was here to see that," Naruto said, sighing in relief. "Especially after all that bragging about how you never underestimate an opponent." "Shut it," Sasuke muttered as he crossed his arms, his Sharingan deactivating. "He spoke so damn boldly, I thought he went all out from the start. I was wrong, alright?" "See his hands?" Naruto asked, which made Hinata blink, while Sasuke nodded. "His hands?" Hinata asked curiously. "They were covered in bruises and stitches," Sasuke informed her. "That guy has probably spent day after day training non-stop," Naruto chipped in, giving a low, impressed whistle. "Looks like there are some really strong ones in this exam, eh?" "Heh. Sounds like fun," Sasuke said, turning around to smirk at his teammates. "Let's go, Naruto, Hinata." "Yeah. Yes." When they reached the door to room 301, they found Kakashi waiting outside, his hands in his pockets. "Oh good, all three of you came," he said, looking from each genin to the next. "Now we can properly take the exam." "What do you mean, sensei?" Hinata asked, blinking. "The truth is that this test can only be taken by teams of 3. "But you said it was voluntary," Naruto muttered. "You lied?" "If I had told the truth, there was the chance of one of you getting pressured into taking the exam," Kakashi explained. "This way, I could make sure that only those of you who truly felt ready to take the exam would come. If only 1 or 2 of you had shown up, then the exam would have ended right here for you. But you all came of your own free will," he said and smiled brightly at them. "You guys are my proud team. Now go!" When the team stepped inside the classroom, they found that it was filled with genin, all of whom turned to look at them as they entered. "Is anyone else getting a feeling like we're being watched?" Naruto asked unnecessarily. Suddenly, a blonde missile that everyone recognized as Yamanaka Ino flew straight at Sasuke, hugging him from behind. "Sasuke-kun, you're late!" she cried happily, blushing at merely touching Sasuke and putting on an extra seductive smile. I haven't seen you for a while, so I've been waiting in excitement. Now Sasuke knew exactly how to crush a fangirl's advances. Therefore, he furrowed his brow, looked over his shoulder at Ino, and muttered, "Who are you?" As expected, Ino's jaw dropped, her eyes widened, and her grip on him slackened, allowing him to move over to Naruto and Hinata, who shook their heads. "What's this? You guys are taking this stupid test too?" came Shikamaru's voice as he approached with his best friend, Akimichi Chuji. "Heh, I wouldn't have thought you had the energy to take this exam, Shikamaru," Naruto said with a chuckle, while Shikamaru sighed. "It's troublesome, but Ino threatened our lives, so we had no choice." "Yahoo found you!" came the voice of the ever-jovial Kiba, approaching with Shino and Sakura. "Sasuke-kun," Sakura said happily upon seeing Sasuke, who just looked away from her. Well, everyone is assembled." "Geez, you guys too?" Shikamaru asked. "I see. All 9 of this year's rookie genin are taking the exam," Kiba said, humming. "I wonder how far we will get." "As Sasuke Naruto?" "You seem confident, Kiba," Sasuke said with a scoff. "We did a lot of training. We won't lose to you," Kiba said confidently. "Hey, you guys, you should be more quiet," came a new voice, and they all looked to see a bespectacled teenager with gray hair and a ponytail approaching. He wore a Konoha Hittite, and looked like he couldn't be older than 17. "You guys are rookies just out of the academy, right? Screaming like schoolgirls, geez. This isn't a picnic, you know." "And who are you?" Sasuke asked. "This guy gives me a creepy feeling," Naruto muttered. "I'm Kabuto. But instead of that, look behind you." Everyone did so, and saw a team of Amigekyo genin glaring heatedly at them. "Those guys behind you are from Amigekyo no Sato. They have short tempers," Kabuto explained with a smile. "Everyone is nervous about the exam, so quiet down before you cause a scene." "Well, I can't blame you. You're clueless rookies. You remind me of how I used to be." "Kabuto-san, right?" Sakura asked. "Yeah. So, this is your second time?" "Nope. My 7th time," Kabuto said, smiling still. "This exam is held twice a year, so this is my 4th year." "Wow, so you know a lot about this exam?" "That's right," Kabuto said, nodding as he reached into his pocket and took out a deck of cards. "Tell you what, how about I share some info with you cute rookies? With these ninja info cards?" "Ninja info cards?" "They are basically cards that have info burned into them with chakra," Kabuto explained as he set the deck down on the floor. "I have 4 years' worth of info here, over 200 cards." He took one of the cards and set it down in front of him, face up to show that the card was completely blank. "They look blank, but to open the info on these cards, you have to use my chakra. For example." Kabuto put his hand in a half-ram seal, while the other hand was pressing a finger against the card on the floor. There was a poof of smoke, and when it cleared, it showed a map of the elemental countries, with several numbers written on it. "Wow, a really easy-to-read graph," Sakura spoke in amazement. "What kind of info is this?" "This is the number of those taking the exam, and the breakdown of what country they are from," Kabuto explained. "Do you have cards with info on individuals?" Sasuke asked suddenly, making Kabuto chuckle. "There are some guys you're worried about." "Of course. The info on all of this exam's participants isn't perfect, but I do have it. Even of you guys. Say something about these guys and I'll take a look." "Gaara of Sunigekyo no Sato, and Rock Lee of Kanehigakure no Sato." "Oh, you know their names? Should be easy, then," Kabuto said and swiped 3 cards out of the deck, holding them up. "Show me," Sasuke ordered. "Okay, first is Rock Lee. He's a year older than you guys. Mission history, 20 D rank completed, 12 C rank completed. His sensei is Mado Guy. His taijutsu has improved greatly in this year. The rest is nothing impressive. Last year he gained attention as a talented new genin, but he did not participate in the exam. Like you guys, this is his first time. On his team are Hyugen Niji and Tenten," Kabuto said, putting the card back in the deck, before channeling his chakra into the second card. "Next is Sabaku no Gaara. Mission history, 8 C rank completed, 1 B rank. Wow, a B rank mission as a genin. Since he's a newcomer from a foreign country, I don't have much info, but it seems he returned from all of his missions without even a scratch." "Alright, I'll bite," Kiba said. "Show me these 3, he ordered, gesturing for Team 7. "Getting worried, Kiba?" Naruto asked with a small grin as Kabuto took 3 cards out of the deck. "Alright, Team 7 of Kanehigakure no Sato's rookies. Mission history, 12 D rank, and 1 B rank mission completed. Wow, a B rank here as well. All three of them have amazing stats, though Uchiha Sasuke is by far the speed demon, and Uzumaki Naruto is the powerhouse, with great strength, and a stamina that is off the charts. Sasuke is a bit more well-rounded, while Hyuga Hinata is the weakest, although she has shown an amazing improvement in the last few weeks, and saying that she is the weakest of these three doesn't exactly make her the weakest of the rookies, not by a long shot. Everyone were staring at Team 7 in a new light upon hearing this. Hinata was staring intently at a spot on the wall, trying not to pay attention to the staring. Sasuke was smirking, and Naruto was grinning. Konoha, Suna, Aim, Kusa, Taki, Oto. Many outstanding genin from the various hidden villages are here to take the exam. Well, Oto is a small village just created last year, so there isn't much info, but the rest of the hidden villages are filled with talented youngsters, Kabuto said, making perspiration break out on Sakura's brow. So basically, all the people here are. Yup, Kabuto said with a smirk. Like Lee, Gaara, Sasuke, Naruto, and Hinata, they are the top elite from the various countries. Naruto's well-trained eyes caught movement in the crowd, and he saw a ninja with an Oto headband flying through the air, throwing two kunai into the floor in front of Kabuto, making him jump back just in time for another Oto ninja, this one with his head covered in bandages, to appear in front of him, taking a swing at him. Kabuto dodged, smirking, but his glasses suddenly shattered, and he collapsed to his knees, throwing up. The Oto team, joined by a young female, stood in front of Kabuto, radiating killer intent. Pathetic, the bandaged ninja said. Aren't you supposed to be a 4-year veteran? Write this down on your cards, the spiky-haired ninja with the 3 kanji for death on his shirt said, smirking. The 3 Otogekure ninjas, definite future Chunin. An explosion of smoke went down at the front of the class, and a voice was heard. Quiet down, you worthless bastards. What is this? The smoke cleared to show a large amount of ninjas. At the front stood a man in a black coat, his head covered by a bandana. His face had 2 long scars going across it, giving him a real veteran look. Thank you for waiting, the scarred man said with a smirk. I am the examiner for the Chunin selection exam's first test, Marino Ibiki. He reached out and pointed at the Oto ninjas. Otogekure guys, stop doing as you please before the exam. Do you want to fail already? I apologize. This is our first time. We got a bit carried away. The bandaged ninja said, but his tone of voice clearly told everyone that his apology was nowhere near sincere. Ibiki scoffed. Here's a good opportunity to say this. There will be no fighting without the permission of the examiner. Even if permission is granted, killing your opponent will not be tolerated. Those pigs that disobey me will be failed immediately. Do I make myself clear? There was no answer. Instead, everyone was just staring at Ibiki, who looked around. We will now start the first test in the Chunin exam. Instead of your current seating arrangements, you will pick out one of these tabs and sit in the seat assigned to you, Ibiki said, holding up a piece of wood with a number on it. We will then hand out the exams. A paper test? Naruto muttered to Sasuke, who smirked. Naruto had never been a big fan of paper tests. The genin did as told, and Naruto sat near the front, with Hinata next to him. Naruto-kun, Hinata said, smiling at him. Let's do our best. As always, Naruto said with a small grin. Do not turn your tests over, Ibiki said, holding up a piece of chalk. Listen closely to what I'm about to say, he said and started writing on the blackboard. There are many important rules to this first test. I'll write it on the board while I explain, but questions will not be allowed, so listen carefully. The first rule. You guys will all start off with 10 points. The test is made up of 10 questions and each one is worth a point, but this test uses a subtraction system. Basically, if you answer all the questions correctly, you keep your 10 points. But say if you miss 3 questions, you will lose 3 points and will have 7. The second rule. This is a team test. Whether you pass or not will be determined by the combined score of your teammates. So, each team will compete to see how many points they can hold on to from the initial total of 30. Wait a second, Sakura shouted. I don't understand this initial points system either, but why is it a team test? Shut up. You don't have the right to question me. There is a reason for this. Be quiet and listen, Ibiki said, narrowing his eyes. Okay, and the most important rule. The third rule is that during the exam, anyone caught by the testing officers doing sneaky activities, namely cheating, will have 2 points subtracted for every offense. He said, smirking in a decidedly evil-looking way. Realize that the pathetic ones that get caught cheating will be destroying themselves. As shinobi trying to achieve the level of Chunin, be proud ninjas. Naruto perked up at that. There was something strange about that statement, but he didn't put much thought into it. And the final rule. Those that lose all their initial points during the test, and those that don't answer any questions correctly, will be failed along with their 2 teammates. Ibiki exclaimed, shocking the genin. The exam will last 1 hour. Begin! Naruto turned over his test, and raised an eyebrow. These weren't questions that anyone could answer. Pretty much only a brainiac could answer those questions without any trouble. Like Sasuke, or Hinata, or Sakura. Naruto could answer many things about being a ninja. He could do most of the things in the questions, but he couldn't exactly calculate, with numbers, how hard he'd have to throw a kunai, and in what angle, to hit an opponent 300 feet away. That crap was all instinct. A smirk appeared on his face. He glanced over at someone who was filling out his test at a high speed. He waited until the guy was finished, setting his pen down on the desk with a proud smile on his face. Naruto's smirk widened. Time to pass the test, and take out some opposition in the process, he thought as he focused. A smoke bomb rolled out of his sleeve and exploded upon impacting with the ground, erupting in a smoke so thick that you couldn't even see 3 inches ahead of yourself. Roars of anger could be heard throughout the classroom as no one could see their tests. Windows were opened, letting the smoke out, and once it was cleared, more cries of anger could be heard. Naruto was filling out his test, and was chuckling to himself. Several people in the room had suddenly lost their tests. Very impressed, Ibiki held up his hand for silence. Everyone who's lost their test might as well get out. You fail, along with your team. With growling protests, the people who'd lost their tests were ushered out of the room, along with their teams. Though I'm interested in learning who, exactly, did that. Ibiki thought as he looked around the room, locking eyes with one Uzumaki Naruto, who was dressed in a Nidaime-like shirt, and wore a very similar hapuri. A smirk slowly appeared on his face when he saw that Naruto had already finished his test. 45 minutes later, Ibiki looked at the clock on the wall, and nodded to himself. Okay, and now. We will begin the 10th question. Now. Before we get to it, I'd like to go over the added rules for this question. Shock went through the genin as the door opened, and Kankuro, the puppet user from Suna, who'd been to the bathroom, entered the room. Heh. Nice timing, Ibiki said, smirking. Was your doll playing beneficial? The puppet user twitched, surprised that he'd been caught. Just sit down, Ibiki said, and the puppet user complied. I'll now explain. These are the rules of desperation. First, for this 10th question. You must decide whether you will take it or not. Choose? Temari from Suna shouted. What happens if we choose not to? Ibiki chuckled darkly. If you choose not to, your points will be reduced to 0. You'll fail, along with your 2 teammates. Everyone started to shout about how, of course, they were going to take it, but Ibiki interrupted them all. And now. The other rule, he said, silencing them all. If you choose to take it, and answer incorrectly, that person will lose the right to ever take the Chunin selection exam again. What kind of stupid rule is that? Kiba roared. There are guys here who have taken the exam before. Ibiki chuckled darkly again, only this chuckle was the kind one would use in front of someone when taking extreme pleasure in ripping their guts out. You guys were unlucky. This year, it's my rules. But I am giving you a way out. Those that aren't confident can choose not to take it, and try again next year, he said, smirking at them all. Now, let's begin the 10th question. Those that do not wish to take it, raise your hand. Once your number is confirmed, leave. I can do this, Naruto thought, closing his eyes. There's no way I can lose. I refuse to lose. I'm gonna become Hokage one day. I can't stop here, he thought as he turned his head, looking to Sasuke, who had a determined look on his face. Next, he looked at a nervous Hinata, who looked at him. Grinning, he flashed her a thumbs up, which seemed to fill her with renewed confidence. Several genin quit, causing their teams to quit as well. Then, when it seemed like no one else was going to quit, Ibiki spoke up. Alright, does anyone else want to quit? No one answered. Well then, to the 57 who remain. Congratulations on passing the first test. Everyone froze, staring at him, shocked. Wait. What do you mean? Sakura asked, wiping sweat from her bigger-than-average brow. We already pass? What about the 10th question? Ibiki grinned in a friendly manner, which was strange since everything about him was anything but friendly. There never was such a thing. Or you could say that those 2 choices were the 10th question. Hey! Then what were the first 9 questions for? Temari shouted. They were pointless, then. They were not pointless, Ibiki said, letting out a chuckle. They had already served their intended purpose, he said, turning serious. To test your individual information-gathering ability. That purpose. Naruto smiled. He aced that test. First, as the rules explained, success on this test is based on the whole team doing well. This puts pressure on each member not to mess things up for their teammates, Ibiki explained, looking over the genins. But the questions on this test were not the types that a mere genin could answer. Because of that, I'm sure most of the people came to the conclusion that to score points, you'd have to cheat. Basically, the premise of this test is to cheat. As cheating targets, we had 2 or so chunin, who knew all the answers, mixed into the crowd. To help you guys out? Piece of cake, Naruto said, smirking. Ibiki chuckled and started untying his bandana. But those who cheat poorly fail, of course, he said, and removed the bandana, causing many of the genin to recoil in fright. His head was covered with horrible burns, screw holes, and scars. Because, at times, information is more important than life. And on missions in the battlefield, people risk their lives to get their hands on it. Naruto raised an eyebrow. This guy has been through a lot, he thought, his respect for the man rising. A real veteran. If the enemy or third party notices you, there is no guarantee the info will be accurate, Ibiki said as he put on his bandana again. I want you to remember this. Important information in your hands can be a powerful weapon for your comrades and for the village. So, we had you gather information through cheating. This clearly separated those that did not have the right abilities. But, I don't understand the final question, Temari said, making Ibiki smile. But, question 10. Is the true purpose of this test? Let me explain. The 10th question, the take it or not take it decision. Obviously, these were painful choices. Those who choose the latter fail along with their teammates. Those who choose to take it could lose the chance to ever take the test again. A true leap of faith. Naruto nodded to himself. It was a very good way to weed out those who couldn't take the pressure. How about these 2 choices? Say you guys become chunin? Your mission is to steal a secret document. The amount of ninjas, their abilities, etc., is unknown to you. And of course, there could be traps set all around you. Now, do you accept or not accept? Ibiki asked, turning serious once more. Naruto was starting to get pissed off. Was this guy bipolar? Because you don't want to die. Because you don't want your comrades hurt. Can you avoid the dangerous mission? The answer is no. No matter what the danger, there are missions you can't avoid. The ability to be courageous and survive any hardship. This is the ability needed to become a chunin captain. Those who can't put their destinies on the line. Who cling to the uncertain future of theirs always next year, and then walk away from their chance. Those pieces of trash, who can only make such cowardly choices, don't have the right to become a chunin. That's how I feel. Those who chose to take it answered the tough 10th question correctly. You will be able to survive any troubles you face in the future. You have made it through the entrance. The first test of the chunin selection exam is now finished. I wish you guys luck. Suddenly, something caught Ibiki's eye, and he stepped back just in time for a ball of cloth to come flying through the window. 2 kunai flew out of the bundle of cloth and stuck to the ceiling, unfurling the cloth, revealing a purple-haired woman wearing a tan trench coat. On the cloth was the text, Second Exam Proctor Mitarashi Anko. You guys. This is no time to be celebrating. The woman, obviously named Mitarashi Anko, exclaimed. I am the examiner for the second test, Mitarashi Anko. The hard part starts here. Are you ready? She shouted and pumped her fist into the air. Ibiki came out from behind the cloth. Grasped the atmosphere. Anko blushed, but looked around, raising an eyebrow. Then, she turned to Ibiki. 57? Ibiki! You left 19 teams? The test was too easy this time. Ibiki shrugged. This time, there are a lot of outstanding ones, he said, getting a scoff from Anko. Bah! That's fine. I'll at least cut them in half in the second test, she said, causing the genin to sweat. Then, when they saw her shiver and smirk, they almost freaked out. Ah! I'm getting excited. I'll explain everything once we've changed places. Follow me. The genin were standing in front of a huge forest, which was surrounded by a huge fence. Welcome to the stage for the second test, Training Area 44, Anko said, smirking at them all, also known as the Forest of Death. Looks kind of intimidating, doesn't it? Hinata asked her teammates quietly, while Anko just kept smirking. You'll soon find out. Why it's called that. Naruto snorted. Like that'll scare us. Anko smiled at him. You're spirited. Quicker than most genin could react, a kunai ended up in her hand, and Naruto only had the chance to see the glint of steel, as his hand flew up on pure instinct and caught the kunai, spinning around to place it at Anko's throat as she blurred into view behind him, looking pleasantly surprised, even more so upon noticing that Sasuke had already unsheathed his chikuto and placed it against the back of her neck. Ho ho, you boys are fast, she said with a grin, looking from Sasuke to Naruto. I guess you're not all talk after all, eh? Sasuke scoffed and sheathed his chikuto again, while Naruto handed the kunai back to Anko, who grinned. Well, looks like we have some potential in this test, Anko said, smirking as she walked to the front of the genin. This should be fun, she said, reaching into her coat and taking out a wad of papers. Now, before we start the second test, there's something I have to pass out. You must sign these agreement forms. What for? Naruto asked as he took the wad of papers she handed him, taking one and handing the stack to Sasuke, who did the same to Hinata. There will be deaths in this one. And if I don't have you sign these, it will all be my responsibility, Anko explained, chuckling. I'm going to explain the second test. Then, you can sign it afterward, and then, each team will check in at that booth behind me. Anko pointed at a booth near the fence, where 3 bored-looking Chunin sat, obviously wanting to be somewhere else. I'll now explain the second test. Simply put, you will attempt the ultimate survival. Shikamaru sighed. Survival. This test sucks. First, I'll explain the area in which it will take place, Anko said and unfurled a scroll showing a map of the forest. Around the Forest of Death are 44 locked gates. Forest, river, and a tower in the center. From the gates to the tower, it's around 10 kilometers. During the survival in here, you will be asked to complete a certain task. Using your many weapons and jutsu, you will compete in a no rules scroll battle. Scroll? Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow. Yes, Anko said with a nod as she held out 2 scrolls. You will fight over these 2 scrolls, the heaven and earth. There are 57 people here, meaning 19 teams. 10 of you will get the heaven scroll, and the other 9 teams will each get the earth scroll. To pass this test, your team must make it to the tower with both scrolls. So, 9 teams will lose their scrolls. Shikamaru muttered. At least half the teams will definitely fail. But there's a time limit, Anko continued. This second test will last 120 hours. Exactly 5 days. 5 days? Ino exclaimed, wide-eyed. What about dinner? Chuji roared, shocked. You're on your own. The forest is full of food. Just watch out for man-eating beasts, poisonous insects, poisonous plants, etc., Anko said, smiling cruelly. And 9 teams passing is not likely. As the days go on, the distance to the goal will become farther, and the time to rest will become shorter. And the area is crawling with enemies. You won't get much sleep. So, not only will some fail by losing the scroll, but some will die from the harshness of the course, she explained, before holding up her hand. Now I'll talk about what will disqualify you. She raised a finger. First, those that don't make it to the tower with both scrolls within the time limit. She raised another finger. Second, those who lose a teammate or those who have a teammate killed. As a rule, there is no quitting in the middle. You will be in the forest for 5 days, or less, depending on when you get to the tower. And one more rule. You must not look inside the scroll until you make it to the tower. What happens if you do? Sasuke asked out of curiosity, getting a smirk from Anko. That will be a surprise for anyone who does. A Chunin will be asked to handle classified information. This is to test your trustworthiness. That's it for the explanations. Exchange the 3 forms for your scroll, then choose a gate to get ready for the start, Anko said, before grinning at them all. A final word of advice. Don't die. Well, no shit. Naruto muttered as the Chunin in the booth covered it with a curtain. It's about time to exchange for the scrolls, one of them announced. You can't tell which team gets which scroll. Or who on the team is carrying it. Sasuke muttered to his teammates as he stared at the covered booth. Yes. Everyone's an enemy. Everyone's determined. Hinata mumbled nervously. Hinata, it'll be alright, Naruto said, putting a hand on Hinata's shoulder and smiling at her. We're strong, remember? Besides, with your eyes and my sensor skills, no one will be able to sneak up on us. We'll always have the advantage. Naruto and his team went to the booth, got a heaven scroll, and then headed off, ready to enter Gate 12, where an instructor was waiting, unlocking it. The second exam begins now, was suddenly heard in the speakers, and the instructor opened the gate, allowing them to enter, which they did, speeding inside. After a couple of minutes of running, a scream was already heard. Team 7 stopped at that. It seemed like at least 3 people were in a lot of pain. That's one team down, Sasuke muttered, narrowing his eyes. One scroll lost. Naruto, don't slack off for even a nanosecond, alright? We all need to constantly be on our guard for this. I started molding chakra before we even stepped through the gate, Naruto said, his hands in his pockets. You don't need to tell me how serious this is. I know where everyone is in this forest. Who's closest? There's a team about half a click to the northwest. They're the closest, but I wouldn't go for them, Naruto said, narrowing his eyes as he stared into the woods. What do you mean? I mean, one of the people on that team has an enormous amount of chakra. Close to my own level, actually. TCH. Is it that Gaara freak? No, this chakra is, if possible, even more sinister than Gaara's. This guy's a definite freak, Naruto said, looking around. Well, I don't sense anyone nearby, so this is probably a good opportunity to sit down and get some strategies down. This immediately caught Sasuke and Hinata's attention, as although Naruto was always willing to use the strategies Sasuke came up with, he was never the one to suggest it. Therefore, they immediately followed his lead and sat down. Well, I think I have him pretty confident now, Naruto muttered softly, glancing at Hinata. Byakugan, my 5 o'clock, 35 meters. Hinata activated her Byakugan, having progressed enough to not need hand seals in order to activate it, and used it to check the spot Naruto had pointed out. There, on a tree branch, she saw the ninja who was stalking them. Amigakure ninja, Hinata said softly. I see no weapons on him, so it's safe to say he specializes in either ninjutsu or genjutsu. He's alone? Sasuke asked, and Naruto nodded, Hinata doing the same. He's probably waiting for a chance to pick us off one by one. He's waiting for us to separate enough to attack. We should get him to come to us. Well, you're the strategist of the team. Make some damn plans, Naruto said loudly, as though an entirely different conversation had just taken place, as he got to his feet, scratching the back of his head. I gotta take a piss. I'll be right back. With that, Naruto headed off to stand behind a tree, pretending to unzip his pants as he leaned back against the tree. His senses were on high alert, so he could easily sense the AIM ninja moving over toward him, then leaping at the blonde, who just smirked. Gotcha, he said softly and looked up at the visibly surprised AIM ninja, just in time for a wooden pole to shoot out of the tree, wrapping around him and pulling him down, slamming his head hard into the tree and knocking him out. Naruto focused his chakra into the tree, and more wood came shooting out of it, wrapping so tightly around the unconscious AIM ninja that it would have been impossible for him to break out. His job done, Naruto headed back to Sasuke and Hinata. Well, that's one enemy down, he announced happily. Did he have a scroll? Hinata asked. These are all 3-man teams, yet only one attacker. I doubt they'd let the attacker handle the scroll, Sasuke said, shaking his head. Let's keep moving. The 3 took off, but after an hour of running, Naruto suddenly signaled for them to stop. Let's talk, he said, and promptly sat down. The others looked at each other strangely, but did the same. Naruto sighed. That freak is here, he muttered quietly, making sure the freak with the massive chakra wouldn't hear him. Then he spoke again, but louder this time. Alright, we need a plan. If we get separated, even if it's one of us, don't trust anyone who appears. Then what do we do? Hinata asked nervously. Sasuke put a hand on his chin, thinking hard. We'll make a code word. If whoever shows up gets the code word wrong, assume they are the enemy, no matter what they look like. Listen carefully. I'll only say this once. The Nin song, Nin machine. When this is asked, answer with, a large amount of loud enemies is the friend of the shinobi. Hide and remain silent. A shinobi must understand the proper time, when the enemy is tired and ill-prepared. Naruto and Hinata both nodded, telling him that they'd memorized it. In reality, just say we don't have time for code words, Sasuke said quietly as he got up, along with the others. I'll hold the scroll, he said louder. They were about to walk off when Naruto stopped, looking to the east with a look of concentration on his face. Sasuke glanced at him. What's wrong, Naruto? Naruto narrowed his eyes, staring hard into the darkness of the forest for a while, before sighing, shaking his head and saying, It's nothing. I guess it was just my image. Naruto's eyes widened when his cheek was suddenly cut by a gust of wind. It's a futon jutsu. Get down! He exclaimed as he rushed his team, pushing them into the bushes, just as a huge blast of wind came through the clearing, sending Naruto flying off. As the blast died down, Sasuke, who was laying in the bushes with Hinata, trying to spot the enemy, sighed. Thanks, Naruto. Seeing no one, they got up, and Hinata activated her Byakugan to scan the area, nudging Sasuke and pointing in the direction the blast had flung Naruto. They both looked, and saw Naruto approaching. Damn, that one hurt, Naruto muttered as he came walking up to them, rubbing his head. If I find whoever did that, I'm gonna introduce him to a whole new world of pain. Naruto-kun, Hinata said softly as she and Sasuke got into a combative stance. Wait a second. The code word. I know, Naruto said, nodding. A large amount of loud enemies is the friend of the shinobi. Hide and remain silent. A shinobi must understand the proper time, when the enemy is tired and ill-prepared. Sasuke smirked at that. Then, without warning, he threw his kunai at Naruto, who went wide-eyed and dodged. What the hell are you doing, you idiot? Naruto growled as he narrowed his eyes. So, it's someone who can dodge my attacks. Naruto smirked, and was suddenly enveloped by smoke. Impressive that you knew, came a feminine voice from the smoke. When the smoke cleared, they saw the straw hat wearing Kusa ninja standing where Naruto had once been. How did you know that I was a fake? Naruto sensed your freakishly large chakra supply a mile off, Sasuke said, smirking right back. There was no way he couldn't sense you so close to us. We knew you were listening in, so while we said the code word would be the Nin song, we actually made it something else. The man chuckled as he removed his straw hat. I see. Neither tired nor ill-prepared, are we? He asked with a smirk. This will be more fun than I thought. Meanwhile, in another part of the forest, Naruto was on the ground, panting slightly. His forearms had several cuts on them, and the abdomen of his shirt was torn in some places, along with his legs. In front of him, the ground was completely torn apart, and several wooden walls had also been completely torn up. That was one powerful jutsu, he muttered as he sighed. Even when I blocked it with my Mokutan, it still managed to cut me. Naruto got up, staring down the trail of destruction caused by the jutsu. But that wasn't something a genin could accomplish. Hell, most of my jutsu aren't even that strong. His surroundings got darker, and he looked down at the ground to see a large shadow above him, and he looked up, finding the biggest snake he'd ever seen staring down at him. He stared into its eyes, and suddenly went wide-eyed, when the snake's tail came flying at him. Naruto jumped into the air with a yell of something that sounded like Hufflerger Berber. In time for the ground to pretty much explode from the power of the hit with the tail. The snake coiled up and sprung at Naruto, its maw opened and ready to swallow him. Unable to dodge in the air, Naruto growled and formed a serpent seal. Suddenly, his cheeks puffed out, and he smirked. Take this, he thought as he fired a high-pressure jet of water from his mouth. The water cut the snake right down the middle, causing it to split, and completely miss crashing into Naruto, who landed gracefully. Suddenly, Naruto's eyes widened as his senses picked up on a massive amount of killer intent, coming from where Team 7 had been before the jutsu hit them. What? What is this massive ki? He thought as he looked down at his hand. It was shaking violently. Even at this distance, This is 20 times worse than Zabuza and Kakashi combined. Meanwhile, with Sasuke and Hinata, the two were staring into the eyes of the scary Kusa ninja. They'd both seen some sort of image of their own death, causing Sasuke to vomit. Jigenjutsu. Sasuke thought as he stared wide-eyed at the Kusa ninja. And no. This is just fear. The killing intent in his eyes is causing us to see an image of death. Who is this guy? Hinata. Sasuke glanced at his teammate, to see tears flowing down her cheeks as she trembled violently. This is bad. We must run. Otherwise, there's only death. The Kusa ninja chuckled. You can no longer move. Sasuke gripped the kunai in his hand tightly as he shook with fear. No. I can. His arm moved a little, and he stared down at his hand. Move. Move. Move, 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 move. The Kusa ninja smirked as he raised two kunai, casually flicking them at the two genin, making Sasuke's eyes widen. Damn it, move! Suddenly, Sasuke stabbed the kunai into his thigh and rushed at Hinata, getting her out of the way of the kunai's path, before jumping off to hide in the trees. The Kusa ninja walked over to the blood splatter that resulted from the stabbing with mild interest, before smirking, looking up into the trees. To injure his own body to erase the feeling of fear with pain. Though, he's no ordinary prey. Meanwhile, Sasuke was sitting in a big tree with Hinata, ripping the kunai out of his thigh with a grunt. Sasuke-kun, are you ALRI? Hinata started, only for Sasuke to cover her mouth, looking down on the forest floor. We must run before we are found again. But how? How can we run away? He thought, still trembling with fear. That guy, for Sasuke-kun to panic this much. Hinata thought, staring at Sasuke in shock. I've never seen him like this. Suddenly, she noticed something, and tried to speak, but Sasuke was still covering her mouth. Removing it, she spoke up. Sasuke-kun! Snake! Sasuke turned, and saw a huge snake come down at them. They both jumped away, and the snake set its sights on Sasuke. Damn it! I was panicking so much, I didn't notice the snake. Sasuke thought as the snake wrapped around the tree branch, before shooting off towards Sasuke. Sasuke's eyes widened as he stared into the snake's eyes, and felt the same killer intent as before. He let out a fearful cry as he threw 8 shuriken at the open maw of the snake with incredible force. The shuriken tore through the snake's head, and it stopped its charge, falling down and smashing against the tree branch, covering it in blood. Sasuke and Hinata's eyes widened when the scales on the snake were torn open, and a person rose from it. It was the Kusa ninja. You guys shouldn't relax, even for a moment. Prey should always be trying their best to run away. He trailed off as his tongue came out of his mouth, licking his lips. In the presence of a predator, that is. Like a snake, the Kusa ninja's legs stretched like rubber, and he wrapped around the branch Sasuke had landed on, charging the uchiha. However, he stopped when a kunai dug into the branch, with an exploding note hanging from the ring. What? The note exploded, sending the Kusa ninja flying. Sasuke sighed with relief. TCH, came Naruto's voice from his left, making his head snap in that direction to see Naruto standing there. Look at you. Too afraid to even notice me approaching. So, you got past my snake, Naruto-kun? The Kusanin asked, standing on the forest floor and looking up at them. Naruto squatted, his elbows against his knees, as he looked down at the ninja. Sasuke, he spoke softly. If we run, this guy will just pick us off one by one. We have to fight right here. We have to give it our all. Don't be an idiot, Sasuke barked. You, of all people, should feel how. Sasuke stopped, as Naruto had suddenly shot up, grabbed his collar, and slapped him. Hey, you friggin' idiot, snap out of it. You're acting like a little crybaby. Sasuke's eyes were wide with shock, still reeling from the surprise of actually getting slapped. Sure, he could handle being punched, kicked, and even stabbed. But slapped? He blinked olishly a couple of times, but then smiled softly. Gotta give Naruto credit. He has no common sense whatsoever. Although, in this situation, common sense would probably just get in the way. Thanks, Naruto. A smirk made its way onto Sasuke's face as his Sharingan activated, and he turned his head to stare down at the Kusanin as well. Alright, you moron. We'll do it your way for once. Another slap sounded, and everyone could see a wide-eyed Sasuke reeling from yet another slap to the face. The hell are you doing? Sasuke barked angrily, but Naruto grinned. Well, I had you in this position, I just couldn't resist. Sasuke twitched. Damn, Naruto. Can blow the fear out of any situation, he thought, sighing. Then, he looked at Hinata, who was standing some distance away, looking unsure what to do. Hinata, you're our backup and support. If one of us gets injured, get right to healing it, alright? Alright, Sasuke-kun, Hinata said, nodding. So, what have you got? Naruto asked as he let go of Sasuke and looked down at the Kusanin again. Sasuke closed his eyes and gathered his thoughts for a second. It was obvious that the Kusanin was just toying with them, or he would have attacked a long time ago. What was his game? He's got intense chakra. He can manipulate it well, given that powerful futon ninjutsu he used, and that freaky stretch thing he does with his body and tongue. Not to mention he managed to swallow his freaking earth scroll. And he can summon, Naruto supplied. Since he could summon a freakishly large snake and sick it on me, there's a good chance he can summon more. A guy that well trained in ninjutsu and chakra manipulation. Chances are he's just as good at genjutsu, which would probably make taijutsu his weak point, hopefully, unless he's well-rounded enough to be good at that, too, Sasuke concluded, which made the Kusanin chuckle creepily. An apt analysis, and a correct one, he said, smirking up at them. Although taijutsu is my weakest point, I'm by no means a slouch, and it would be foolish of you to assume such a thing. Now that you have mustered your courage, I expect you to give this your all. Triple rodeo, you think? Naruto asked, to which Sasuke nodded. In this setting? Definitely. Naruto grinned and formed a serpent seal. Suddenly, wooden spikes shot out of the ground under the Kusanin, forcing him to jump up onto the trunk of a tree behind him. So, the rumors are true. Mokutan Ninjutsu. More spikes shot out of the tree the Kusanine was standing on, making him jump off again. In the air, he noticed Sasuke above him, finishing a chain of hand seals and a tiger seal. Katan, Ryuka no Jutsu, Fire Element, Dragon Fire Technique. Sasuke called out as he brought his hand to his mouth and blew a stream of fire at the Kusanine, whose eyes widened as the flame burned hot enough to turn white. The fire impacted with the ninja and smashed him down into the forest floor, whereupon he was impaled by 6 wooden spikes, only to disappear in a poof of smoke. Kage Bunshin. Sasuke growled out through gritted teeth as he landed on a tree branch, looking around. So, where's the real one? Sasuke, above you! Naruto yelled out, and Sasuke's eyes widened. Before he even looked up, he was already flashing through hand seals. Katan, Ryuka no Jutsu! He called out as he leaned his head back and saw the Kusanine diving at him. He blew another stream of white-hot flames at him, but the ninja was prepared for it, yanking a ninja wire in his hand and pulling him out of the way of the fire. What the Kusanine didn't count on, however, was that as he flew through the air, Naruto appeared above him, his fist cocked back. Eat shit! Naruto roared as he drove his hand into the Kusanine's chest, sending him rocketing down into the ground. A crater formed when the Kusanine landed, kicking up a large cloud of dust. However, when it cleared, the Kusanine slowly rose to his feet, chuckling softly. I see, that was quite a powerful attack. You gather as much chakra in your fist as possible, and you release it outward as soon as your fist hits the target. Much like the venerable Tsunadeheim. With your chakra stores, I would have thought it impossible to reach such chakra control at your age. Naruto and Sasuke landed in front of the Kusanine, staring coldly at him. Naruto went through some hand seals, and more wood shot from the ground, trying to ensnare him, but he jumped out of the way. This kid. The Kusanine thought, staring at Naruto. Could he be the Kyuubi brat? He certainly looks like Minato-kun and Kushina. Well, if that's the case, I can put a stop to his massive attack power by disrupting his chakra flow. For that, I need to get closer. The Kusanine dodged yet another wooden spike, and found that Sasuke had taken this moment to close the distance between them, swiping furiously at him with his sword. These brats are wearing chakra weights, and yet they still possess this much speed and strength. The Kusanine thought as he dodged slash after slash, a smirk appearing on his face. What monsters! I shudder to think of what kind of ninja they will become, given a few years to grow. The Kusanine went wide-eyed as his back thumped against a tree trunk, and several wooden poles shot out of it, wrapping around him. I got you now! Sasuke exclaimed, slashing his sword and swiping it clean through the Kusanine's neck and the tree behind him. Only for this one to also disappear in a puff of smoke. The real Kusanine shot out of a bush, heading straight for Naruto. His tongue came out of his mouth, stretching to many times its original length and wrapping around a visibly surprised Naruto. What the hell? Naruto growled out as the tongue, tightly wrapped around him, reached down and pulled up his shirt, exposing the seal on his stomach. Oh, the seal is clearly visible? The Kusanine asked, tilting his head to the side as he went through a few hand seals. Then, each finger on his right hand lit up with a purple energy, and he slammed his hand into Naruto's stomach with a cry of Gogi Fuin, 5 elements seal. He was greatly surprised when his hand just passed straight through Naruto, and the blonde slowly vanished from view. His eyes widened in shock. What's this? This wasn't a bunshin. An Akaiga bunshin doesn't vanish like that. What? Slowly, the surprised look vanished from his face as his tongue retreated back into his mouth, which curved into a smirk. I see, so that's the triple rodeo? He asked out loud as he placed his hands in a ram's seal and called out, Kai, release. The surroundings changed to show that he was once more back in the crater, and Naruto was in front of him, coming at him with a punch, and behind him was Sasuke, making to stab him in the back. The Kusanine twisted his body out of the path of the sword, touching it with his hand to change its path, doing the same with Naruto's fist. The two genin were greatly surprised when they found their attacks directed at their friend, and they only managed to redirect them at the last second. Sasuke's blade cut deeply into Naruto's side, but nothing fatal, while Naruto's blow grazed Sasuke's cheek, which in itself packed enough power that he felt a crack open up in his cheekbone. The two genin stood there in a shocked clinch of sorts, their eyes wide in shock. I am possible, Naruto muttered. Without his Sharingan, not even Kakashi can see through that until it's too late. Sasuke muttered as they broke their clinch, Naruto holding his side and Sasuke feeling his cheeks swelling up. They turned toward the Kusanine, who was smirking at them both. You come at the target with a barrage of ninjutsu and taijutsu attacks. When the target is sufficiently distracted, Naruto-kun takes their attention off you with his Mokuton ninjutsu, while you weave a genjutsu around the target, convincing him that he's still fighting, while in actuality he is standing quite still, allowing the two of you to come in for the killing blow. The Kusanine said and raised his hands. Naruto and Sasuke tensed, but were surprised when the ninja just started applauding slowly. Naruto-kun. Sasuke-kun. You are both exceptional shinobi. I applaud your strength. However, I am afraid we will have to stop playing now. He put his hands in a strange seal, and his neck suddenly extended, his head shooting forward at an amazing speed and biting down on Sasuke's neck, making him cry out in pain and collapse to his knees, clutching at the bit. What is this? He growled out, grunting in pain. Sasuke! Naruto called out in concern, kneeling next to his friend, while the Kusanine's neck started bulging, and he opened his mouth to show an earth scroll coming out of his mouth. He took it and placed it on the ground. This scroll, that mark. Presents for managing to amuse me, the Kusanine said as he started sinking into the ground. I am Orochimaru. If you want power, come seek me out. Sasuke clutched at his shoulder tighter and cried out again, louder this time. Hinata landed softly behind them, her eyes wide in concern. Please lay him on the ground. I'll treat him right away. Naruto struggled to take Sasuke's shirt off and lay him face down on the ground so that the bite mark was clearly visible. This isn't a wound, Naruto exclaimed, his eyes widening upon seeing the 3 tomos on the back of Sasuke's shoulder. This is a seal. A seal? Hinata asked, her eyes widening as well. What do we do, Naruto-kun? Treat his cheekbone. I must have fractured it, Naruto muttered, placing his finger against the seal and closing his eyes. Damn it! This thing is filling him up with that freak's vile chakra. I'm not very advanced in Fuinjutsu yet, but… Naruto gritted his teeth and took out a kunai, slicing open his palm and allowing the blood to run down to the tip of his fingers, whereupon he started writing seals around that vile-smelling seal that Orochimaru guy put on Sasuke. Once he was done, he started flashing through seals faster than ever before. Fuinjutsu, Doku Fujikome, sealing technique, poison containment. He called out as he pressed his hand against the seal, watching as the seals he had drawn started glowing and crawled across Sasuke's skin to form a circle around the seal. Sasuke grunted with pain again as Hinata put an ointment on his swollen cheek. And Naruto. What did you do? He grunted out through gritted teeth. I made this seal a couple of weeks ago. Naruto panted out. That seal was incomplete, and had drained him. I originally made it to contain poisons in case one of us got hurt by a poisoned weapon. However, I made some adjustments to it as I applied it. It should keep that vile chakra at bay for a while. Well, hopefully at least until we get to the tower. The Gigi should know something better. I've done all I can for the fracture. Hinata mumbled as Naruto helped Sasuke sit up, clutching at his shoulder. The ointment will first work on the external injuries, and then work its way into the bone, mending it. Thanks, Hinata. Sasuke mumbled softly as Naruto got up and walked over to the scroll, picking it up. Now, take care of Naruto. Naruto-kun? I'm fine, Naruto said. Don't be a moron. I cut you deep. And even if I hadn't, you still got hurt by that Futon ninjutsu from earlier, right? Sasuke snapped, glaring at Naruto, who huffed and looked away. I know why you're acting tough. You want to make sure I'm alright first. However, Naruto, I also want to make sure you're alright. You've done all you can for me. Now let Hinata take care of your damn wounds. Naruto huffed again, but came over and sat down nonetheless, taking off his shirt. The plate armor underneath was deeply scratched, but hadn't let any of the wind cut through. The same couldn't be said for his shoulders, arms, or his side, though. Well, in all fairness, the wound in his side was from Sasuke's sword. Naruto took off his mesh shirt, and Hinata, her eyes wide with worry, immediately got to work treating his injuries. Who was that freak? Naruto muttered, narrowing his eyes at the spot where that Orochimaru guy had sank into the ground. Orochimaru, did he say? What a weird-ass name. Oro. Sasuke mumbled, having been in too much pain to register the name when the man introduced himself. Orochimaru? You know him? Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow, and Sasuke nodded, his eyes wide. I've heard that name before. Hinata mumbled. Orochimaru. Isn't he one of the legendary Sannin? Sannin. Naruto repeated, his eyes widening as well. That Orochimaru? So he was toying with us. Sasuke muttered. That guy. He could have killed us in the blink of an eye if he wanted to. And here we were, thinking we were great, big, powerful badasses. Naruto muttered, gritting his teeth. Turns out there are bigger badasses than us out there. Looks like this is it. Naruto muttered, at the dawn of the third day as they reached the tower. Things had gone pretty slowly on the way, because that damn Mark kept trying to break the containment seal, and caused Sasuke untold amounts of pain. Naruto had to admire Sasuke for being able to grit his teeth and keep moving through the pain. We made it, Hinata said with relief evident in her voice. Sasuke grunted as his left knee gave out, but Naruto was there in a flash to catch him. Hey, don't strain yourself, you dumbass! Naruto barked, slinging Sasuke's arm over his shoulder. Come on, lean on me. I don't need your help though. Sasuke muttered, which made Naruto smile. I know you don't. Team 7 entered the tower through their designated door and entered an empty room, not really sure what to expect. Look, Sasuke grunted and pointed at wall at the far end of the room. High above them was a text. Naruto read it and raised an eyebrow. Without heaven. What the hell? He asked and pointed at a segment of the text. Words are missing there. Do you think? Maybe. Hinata mumbled, staring up at the text with her brow furrowing. Is it telling us to open the scrolls? Naruto reached into his kunai pouch, taking out the scrolls. He handed one to Hinata and took a deep breath, preparing to open the scroll. All right. Open them, Sasuke ordered, and the two ripped open the scrolls, screwing their eyes shut as if the scrolls were going to explode or something. The three slowly opened their eyes and stared at the scroll. They all recognized the inky patterns on the scrolls. These are summoning seals, Naruto exclaimed and threw away the scroll, while Hinata did the same, just in time for them to explode into smoke. The smoke cleared, and the three genin stared. Iruka-sensei! Naruto exclaimed, while the smiling Chunin in front of them grinned. Hey! Long time no see! What's going on? Sasuke asked, blinking. Why were you summoned? At the end of this second test, it's set up so we Chunin meet up with the exam takers, and I was allowed to be the one to greet you. Greet us? Hinata repeated, getting a nod from Iruka, who picked up a pocket watch, staring at it. Well, you weren't the fastest, but you certainly weren't the last, he spoke, grinning. The second test. All three of you pass. Congratulations. So-sensei. What would have happened if we had opened the scrolls before now? Hinata felt obligated to ask. Iruka chuckled as he picked up the Earth Scroll, holding it up. As you may have figured out, this test's rules are set up to test your ability to perform missions correctly. So, if you were to break these rules and open the scrolls, what would have happened? Sasuke asked, getting a smile from Iruka. Those exam takers would be put in a state of unconsciousness for the remainder of the test period. Those were my orders. Hey, sensei, Naruto said, pointing at the wall. What's the meaning of the writing on the wall? Seems like there's a word missing. We can't figure it out. Iruka said and pointed at the text. I'm also here to explain that. Read it. This is the motto of the Chunin written by Hokage-sama. Motto? Sasuke repeated. The heaven in this paragraph refers to the human mind, and the earth refers to the human body, Iruka explained. If you lack heaven, seek wisdom, be prepared. That's basically, for example, if someone's weakness is his or her brain, gain knowledge and prepare yourself for the missions. If you lack earth, run in the fields, seek advantages. So, if someone's weakness is stamina, then it's saying that you must continue to train hard. And if you have both heaven and earth, you can succeed even the most dangerous missions. So, basically, all missions become safe and easy. Then us three should have no problem completing missions, Naruto said confidently, grinning widely, while Sasuke smirked at him, and Hinata smiled. Anyway, the words that represent a Chunin, the person word from the scrolls goes there. The last sentence is these rules will guide a person's extremes. I don't think any of you really lack neither heaven nor earth. However, train hard, get stronger, and advance through the ranks. Make our Hokage, and the Hokage before him, proud. Iruka smiled brightly as Naruto gave a lazy salute. Then, he took a good long look at them. Wow, you guys look tired. There are rooms here where you can stay until the exam ends. As if on cue, Sasuke's eyes drifted shut, and he collapsed, only to be once more caught by Naruto, who smiled softly at him. We've been running nonstop since we ran into Orochimaru. No food, no rest. I'm surprised he managed to stay awake this long through that pain. What a guy, he thought fondly, putting Sasuke comfortably on his back and carrying him. Hinata, go get some rest. You deserve it, Naruto told Hinata, who straightened up. But I'm not tired, Naruto-kun. Liar, Naruto said with a shrewd grin. Even I got tired from that run. You must be beat. I'm gonna take this moron to the GG, then I'll go get some rest as well. Hinata blushed at getting caught being tired, but she did as Naruto said nonetheless, heading further into the tower. Now that they were alone, Naruto turned to Iruka again, his eyes unusually serious. Iruka-sensei. I need to see the Hokage. So, later found Naruto in an office near the top of the tower. Inside the office was the Hokage, Kakashi, 2 Chunin, Izumo and Kotetsu, and that crazy examiner lady Anko. Sasuke was asleep on the sofa in the office, and the Sandaime was looking over the seal on his shoulder. The cursed seal. The Sandaime muttered, sighing. You encountered Orochimaru? Anko asked Naruto, who nodded. That snake freak was just playing with us, though. I got the feeling he wanted to test our strength. Once we had amused him enough, he put that seal on Sasuke and gave us the slip, Naruto said, turning his gaze to Sasuke, his eyes softening. I contained the chakra in the cursed seal with a modified containment seal, but it won't hold for long, and it doesn't stop the pain. Frankly, I'm amazed that he managed a non-stop run here without collapsing. He's pretty amazing, eh? Kakashi, the Sandaime, spoke, making the lazy jounin stand at attention. I want you to start making preparations to perform the Fujihoan, evil sealing method, right away. Yes, sir, Kakashi said, moving to leave the office, but not before giving Naruto a smile and a pat on the shoulder. Don't be too hard on yourself, the Sandaime spoke once Kakashi had left, making Naruto jump. The Sandaime looked over his shoulder at him. You are not weak, Naruto-kun. Neither you nor Sasuke-kun are. There aren't many in this world who have fought Orochimaru and lived to speak of it. You should be proud you lived through the encounter. But like I said, he was playing with us. Naruto muttered, clutching his fists and gritting his teeth. He even stopped our triple rodeo and turned it on us. And like I said, don't be too hard on yourself, the Sandaime said firmly. Orochimaru was my greatest pupil at one point. His power was amazing, and he was even considered a candidate for Yondaime Hokage. Just because you lost to him, that doesn't mean you are weak. Not by a long shot. If you were weak, he wouldn't have bothered to spare your lives. The Sandaime sighed again, then looked at the examiner. Anko, take Naruto-kun to a room where he can rest. Izumo, Kotetsu, please take Sasuke to Kakashi. Yes, Hokage-sama. All three of them said together. A knock came upon the door to Naruto's room, and as he opened it, he found Hinata standing outside, looking well rested. She was blushing rather brightly, so Naruto immediately knew why she had come. Time to check my injuries, eh? He asked, and Hinata nodded. Naruto gestured for her to come inside, and she did, Naruto closing the door behind her, before moving over to sit on the bed, taking off his shirt, armor, and mesh to reveal the bandages on his body. They don't hurt though, so I think they're fine. Hinata didn't say anything. Instead, she just kept blushing as she removed the bandages, only for her eyes to widen. There. They're gone. She spoke in amazement. Naruto looked down to see that, indeed, even the deep wound in his side Sasuke had given him was gone. Yeah, I've always healed fast, Naruto said with a shrug. Suppose it's the Kyuubi's doing, or something. WL. Another knock was heard, but the door opened before Naruto could even rise from the bed, showing Sasuke entering, looking rested as well. Yo. Looking healed up and ready to tackle the world, Sasuke commented, his hands in his pockets. Likewise, Naruto said, nodding in approval. So, have you heard anything? 5 teams, including ours, have arrived so far, Sasuke said, moving into the room and sitting down in the only chair there. It's more than expected, so they don't expect any more teams to pass. How's the seal? Naruto asked, which made Sasuke reflexively reach up and rub his shoulder. Kakashi used some kind of fuinjutsu on me, called Fujihoan. It keeps the seal at bay, but only as long as I believe in my own strength. And you don't think you can? Hinata guessed, which got a nod from Sasuke. Why you shouldn't doubt yourselves, Sasuke-kun, Naruto-kun. She mumbled softly. You too. You're incredible. I don't know if anyone would have lasted as long as you two did against that man. I really admire you two for your strength. TCH. Sasuke uttered as if what Hinata had said had no effect on him, but they could both see that he had regained some confidence. I guess I'll just have to get a rematch with that Oroyero. Then we'll see who beats who. Well, first of all, we'll need to get through this Chunin exam before we consider fighting that freak, Naruto said, stretching and putting on his clothes again. I don't know about you two, but I'm kinda filled with energy right now. I think I'll go for a run. Anyone wanna come? Might as well, Sasuke said as he and Naruto stood up. They both looked to Hinata, who nodded and stood up as well. Naruto, Sasuke, Hinata, Team 8, Team 10, Team Guy, Team Suna, Team Oto and Team Kabuto were standing in front of the 7 Jounin sensei, the proctors, some Chunin, and the Hokage. The Sandaime cleared his throat. First off, for the second test, congratulations on passing. Guy smirked and looked at Kakashi. Your team isn't too bad. Maybe they were lucky. But as long as my team is around, getting any further is impossible. Since, from now, it's all about real ability. Well, with youth, there are sweet times, and there are sour times at Kakashi? Kakashi just turned to Guy, staring at him lazily. Huh! You say something, Guy? Guy snapped and turned his back on Kakashi, clutching his fist. Heh. Not bad, my rival Kakashi. You're cool in that way, and it really gets on my nerves. Kakashi just looked clueless. Now, for the coming third test, but before I explain that, there's something else I'd like you to know. It concerns the true reason for this exam. Why do we have all the allied countries taking the exam together? To promote friendship among the countries. To raise the level of shinobi. I don't want you to be confused about the true meaning. This exam is, the Sandaime said and paused dramatically, puffing on his pipe, a replacement for war among the allied countries, he said, shocking the genin present. If you go back in time, the current allies were enemies who fought each other over who would rule. In order to prevent wasteful fighting, the stage that these countries chose for battle, that is the origins of this Chunin selection exam. Then, this isn't for Chunin promotions? Rock Lee asked wide-eyed. It is a fact that this exam decides which shinobi have what it takes to become a Chunin. But on the other hand, this exam has another side, where each country's ninja risks their own life to protect their land's prestige. Prestige? Ino asked, getting a nod from the Sandaime. Watching this third exam will be leaders and influential individuals from many countries who make up the clients of the shinobi. And the leaders of the countries will also be there to watch each of your battles. If the strength of a country is clear, that country will receive more clients. And conversely, if seen as weak, they will lose clients, the Sandaime said and paused for a moment, letting the information sink in. And this will signal to potential enemy countries that our village has this much power. So, we will send a political message to the outsiders. But why? Kiba asked. Why do we have to risk our lives in battle? The strength of the country is the strength of the village. The strength of the village is the strength of the shinobi. And a shinobi's true strength is born only through life-risking battle. This exam is a place to see each country's strength, and to show off your own. It only has meaning because lives are at risk. And that's why those that have come before you have fought in the Chunin exam for this dream that is meaningful. But then, why do you say stuff about it being for friendship? Tenten of Team Guy asked, looking thoroughly confused. I said it in the beginning, I don't want you to confuse the purpose of this. By losing life and establishing balance. This is the shape of friendship in the world of the shinobi, the Sandaime said calmly. Before we begin the third test, I will tell you one more thing. This is not just a test. This is a life-risking battle, with your dreams and your country's prestige on the line. I don't care what it is. Just hurry up and tell us what this life-risking battle entails, Sabaku Nogara said, his arms crossed. Yes, I'd like to now explain the third test, but, actually, a new voice interrupted, coughing, as a man blurred into view in front of the Sandaime, on his knees. I apologize, Hokage-sama. From here on, as the referee, will you please allow me, Gekka Hate, to explain? By all means, the Sandaime said with a nod. The man stood up and turned to the genin. He looked sick, with bags around his eyes and a bad cough. Hello everyone, I'm Hate. Before the third test, there's something I'd like you to do. It's a preliminary for the third test to decide who gets to participate in the main event, Hate explained, coughing again. The first and second test may have been too easy this year. We have a bit too many people remaining. According to Chunin exam rules, we must have a preliminary and reduce the number of participants for the third test. As Hokage-sama indicated earlier, there will be many guests at the third test, so the fights could take too long. We are limited in time, he explained and paused, letting the information sink in. So anyway, those who are not feeling well, those who feel like quitting after these explanations, please come forward now. Since we'll be starting the preliminary immediately. After a couple of seconds of silence, Kabuto raised his hand. I'm going to quit. Hate stared at him for a while, before looking at his clipboard. You're Konoha's Yakushi Kabuto-kun, right? You may leave now. Does anyone else want to retire? Oh, I forgot to tell you that, from now on, it will be individual battling. You may raise your hand based on your own judgment. No one else raised their hand. Well, since no one else wants to quit, let's begin. There are basically no rules. The fight continues until one of you dies, is knocked out, or admits your defeat. But when I decide that the winner has clearly been established, since we don't want to pointlessly increase the amount of corpses, I'll jump in and stop things. And the object that controls your destinies is. A hatch on the wall opened up to reveal a large scoreboard. This electric scoreboard will show the matchups for each battle. Now, this is sudden, but let's announce the two names of the first fight. The screen flickered to light, and two names popped up. Uchiha Sasuke versus Akado Yoroi. Hade coughed. Will everyone except the two participants move to the upper level? Right off the bat, huh? Sasuke asked with a smirk as the genin started heading up to the stands, leaving only him and Yoroi on the floor. Yoroi was a genin from Kabuto's team, his face covered by a cloth, and his eyes covered by black lenses. They both moved to the middle of the room, facing each other, with Hate between them to the side. The two participants in the first fight are Akado Yoroi and Uchiha Sasuke. Are you ready? Yeah. Yes. Now. Please begin. Hate jumped back as Yoroi put his hands in a tiger seal. Are you ready? The proctor just asked that, Sasuke quipped. You must either be deaf, or a bigger moron than Naruto. Yoroi twitched, and Naruto immediately snapped, "Hey, you bastard, don't take shots at me like that." The other genin reached behind his back, then flung 3 shuriken at Sasuke, who fished out a kunai, swiping it at the shuriken and sending them flying back at Yoroi, who ducked. Yoroi charged forward and swiped his hand at Sasuke, who dodged to the side, his eyes narrowing in thought. That attack hadn't been meant to hurt, but rather to grab. His other hand, however, had been quite relaxed, as had his legs, so he had made no preparations for a follow-up. Yoroi swiped at him again, this time a backhanded swing in which he turned his arm in an attempt to grab Sasuke, who immediately flipped out of his reach. There's something weird about that hand of yours, isn't there? Sasuke asked with a smirk, activating his Sharingan. Whatever it is, I'll notice it. Sasuke's Sharingan immediately saw the chakra around Yoroi's hand. The chakra was flowing into Yoroi's palm, and the Dijitsu immediately started breaking down the technique as Yoroi charged again. A one-trick pony then? Sasuke asked as he dodged another swipe. No wonder you're still a genin at your age. As long as I don't allow you to touch me with that chakra-absorbing hand of yours, I'll be safe. Don't underestimate me, you little brat. Yoroi roared as he charged again. This time, he managed to grab Sasuke and started absorbing his chakra. Only for Sasuke to disappear in a poof of smoke. Kagebunshin? Yoroi exclaimed in shock. Suddenly, 3 shuriken flew past him from behind, and Yoroi spun around to see Sasuke standing behind him. The Uchiha yanked the ninja wires in his hands, changing the course of the shuriken and making them swing around Yoroi, wrapping him up in the ninja wire. There are several ways for me to end the match right here, Sasuke informed the man. I can cut your head off with my sword. But my favorite would be to burn you with my Ryoka no Jutsu. So you want to give up? Seeing that Yoroi was standing there defiantly, not saying a word, Sasuke shrugged and put the ninja wire between his teeth, and then started flashing through hand seals, ending in a tiger seal. Wait! Yoroi called suddenly. I give up! Winner, Uchiha Sasuke, Hate called, gesturing for the Uchiha, who smirked as he dropped the ninja wires and headed over to the stairs, walking up to his team and Kakashi. Not a spectacular fight, but against a guy like that, what you gonna do, right? Naruto asked, grinning, which got a grunt from Sasuke. But that was amazing, Sasuke-kun, Hinata said, smiling. To end the fight in just a few seconds, without getting hit once. I don't know if I could do that. Don't sell yourself short, Hinata, Sasuke said with a smirk. This guy was nowhere near our level. You would have noticed his ability immediately, you would have sealed the tenketsu in his right arm, preventing him from using that jutsu of his, and he would have lost. You have a good brain, and if you got some self-confidence to go with it, you'd be amazing. Naruto grinned brightly at the blushing Hinata and slapped his bicep. All you need is guts. The names started cycling on the board again, and then stopped with the names in the next fight. Hyuga Hinata versus Abumi Zaku. Remember, Hinata, Naruto said, grinning at the Hyuga as she gulped, guts with a little bit of cautiousness. Hinata took a deep breath, then nodded as she headed for the stairs, while the otonin with the 3 kanji for death on his shirt made his way down the stairs from the stands on the other side of the room. Soon enough, Hinata and Zaku were in the middle of the room, facing each other. Are you both ready? Hate asked the 2 contestants with a cough, getting nods from the 2 genin. Then please begin. Please give up, Hinata said as her Byakugan activated, and she got into a Juken stance. These last few weeks, my abilities have grown, and I would prefer not to hurt you. Hell, what's this? Zaku said with a grin. A ninja who doesn't want to hurt her opponent? What kind of babies do Konoha raise? I'll end this fight in one blow. Hinata focused on Zaku, analyzing her opponent. Those tubes in his arms. He is channeling chakra through them. They must be some kind of cannons. Zaku raised his arms, pointing his palms at Hinata. Zankuha, decapitating airwaves. Zaku roared, blasting a large amount of wind chakra at Hinata, who dodged out of the way to see the wall behind her get completely torn up by the blast. Hinata came at Zaku with a flurry of Juken strikes, greatly surprising the otonin with her speed. She got in a few strikes here and there, which made Rock Lee, who was standing next to Naruto, blink in confusion. She's not hitting him seriously, Lee concluded. Having a Hyuga on my team, I know how destructive the Juken can be. But her strikes are doing almost no damage. Well, that's what you think, Naruto said, smirking at Lee. Hinata is smart. She's probably already figured out how to beat him. Meanwhile, on the floor, an extra hard Juken strike to the shoulder made Zaku grunt and flip back several times, putting a bit of distance between him and Hinata, who stopped and lowered her arms, relaxing. I will say this again, Hinata said softly, looking almost pained. You should give up. You have lost. Lost? Zaku exclaimed. I won't lose until I'm on the floor, dead. Zaku raised his arms and aimed them at Hinata again. He was a bit unnerved by the fact that the Hyuga wasn't even tensing up. She was completely relaxed, though she did look a bit sadder than she had a second ago. I'll blow you away for sure with this one, Zaku stated as he started gathering chakra in his arms. Thank you. What happened next surprised everyone except for Team 7. Zaku's arms exploded at the elbows, blowing his forearms clean off. Wah. Zaku mumbled in complete shock, staring at his arms on the ground. The Hyuga fighting style does not focus on brute strength, Hinata said softly. It instead focuses on attacking the body's chakra circulatory system. With these eyes, I can see it. I could also see the modifications done to your own. By applying my chakra in a sort of chakra senban, when I struck your arms during my attack, I rerouted the chakra in your cannons to head back into your body. The retreating chakra and the outgoing chakra met in the middle and searched for an exit. Zaku's wide eyes looked up at Hinata just as she crossed the distance between them and lashed out with a Juken strike to the chest, which knocked him to the ground. The strike, coupled with the shock of having both arms blown off, was too much for Zaku, who lost consciousness. Winner of the second match, Hyuga Hinata, Hate announced, as Hinata heaved a sigh and moved back to the stairs. Damn, Hinata! Naruto barked happily as Hinata approached her team. He slung an arm around her shoulders and grinned brightly. You can be pretty brutal when you want to be, eh? I'm glad I'm not your enemy. Seems you can work up some resolve after all, Sasuke said with a smirk, crossing his arms. Hinata, why don't you show this confidence all the time? I try. Hinata mumbled, poking her fingers together. It's just that. I don't know. Tsurugi Misumi vs. Kankuro. Hey, it's him, Sasuke said, nudging Naruto, who looked to see the puppeteer descending the stairs, while Misumi, Yoroi's teammate, who also had his face covered, jumped down from the stands to the floor. Team 7 watched as the match started. Immediately, Misumi charged and Kankuro with a punch, which was blocked. However, Misumi's arms started stretching like rubber and wrapped around Kankuro. Next, all of Misumi wrapped around him, his arms and legs, proclaiming that his body had been altered so that he could fit into any space. He demanded that Kankuro give up, but Kankuro remained defiant, and Naruto could sense why. That's not him, he muttered to his teammates, who looked at him in surprise, just as a sickening snap was heard as Kankuro's neck broke. Then, however, Kankuro's head whipped around, and his clothes were torn as two more arms shot out of them. They were puppet arms. The disguise fell, revealing that Kankuro had only been a puppet, and the bandaged package Kankuro had been carrying on his back unwrapped, revealing the real Kankuro. Misumi tried to give up, but couldn't, as the puppet squeezed him too hard. Thankfully, Hate ended the match as soon as Misumi lost consciousness from the pain of the broken bones. Next was the Battle of the Fangirls, Hirono Sakura vs Yamanaka Ino. It was boring, to say the least. They just kept talking through the battle, threw some punches, talked some more, and then, it ended with a draw. This. Naruto muttered, scratching his head. This was probably the most boring match ever. 2 new names flickered onto the screen. Sabaka no Temari vs. Tenten. This match was a little longer. Tenten was a long-range fighter, just like Temari. Tenten threw her weapons, and Temari blew them away with her fan. That was the way it went for 10 minutes, before Temari finally decided to end it, beating the crap out of Tenten. Tsuchikin vs. Nara Shikamaru. This match made Naruto laugh. Shikamaru used his shadow to make Kin slam her head into the wall. Senju Naruto vs. Inuzuka Kiba. Naruto's eyebrows rose at that. He looked to the Sandaime, who nodded. So, he had finally gotten the approval to use the Senju name, eh? I guess this day is just full of good news, eh? Naruto said with a small grin as he jumped down to the floor, walking over to stand in the middle. Kiba came over as well, but he was tense. Without a doubt, he, like the others of the academy, knew that Naruto's position as dead last didn't show his true skills at all. Hey Kiba, Naruto said as Kiba put Akamaru on the floor. You should keep Akamaru out of this. I don't want to accidentally hurt him. Sorry, but Akamaru always fights with me. He's my partner, Kiba said, a small grin on his face. You know, I've been looking forward to this. Oh? Naruto and Sasuke, Konoha's strongest genin, they say. Well, although losing against you wouldn't hurt my pride all that much. Beating you would show how much I've grown since the academy. Well, losing to me now won't exactly show that you've been standing still since graduation, Kiba, Naruto said with a shrug. After all, I've grown too. 7th match, Senju Naruto vs. Inuzuka Kiba. Please begin. Kiba put his hand in a tiger seal, but Naruto held up his hand. Wait, Kiba, he said softly. If you want to fight me, go all out right away. I won't be holding back more than I need to avoid killing you. Kiba hesitated for a second, then let go of the tiger seal, instead digging his hand into his kunai pouch and taking out a soldier pill, tossing it to Akamaru, who swallowed it, his fur turning red. Kiba put his hands in the tiger seal again and crouched down. Gijyu Ninpu, Shikyaku no Jutsu, Beast Mimicry Ninja Art, 4-legged technique. He exclaimed as he got down on all fours, his nails growing into claws, and his canines elongating. Akamaru jumped onto his back, and he formed another seal. Jujin Bunshin, Man-Beast Clone. There was a poof of smoke surrounding Akamaru, and when it cleared, a clone of Kiba could be seen standing on all fours on Kiba's back. Naruto grinned. Ho, looking pretty beastly there, Kiba. Let's see you handle this. Kiba exclaimed as Akamaru jumped off his back, and they both charged at Naruto, Kiba tossing 3 smoke bombs at Naruto's feet. The smoke bombs exploded, and Kiba and Akamaru both leapt into it, spinning at an incredible speed, becoming 2 cyclones of destruction as they charged into the smoke. Getsuga, Fang over Fang. The sound of the 2 impacting something was heard, and the 2 came out of the other side of the smoke, both of them landing on all fours. Damn it, we hit resistance. Again, Akamaru. Kiba growled out, and the both performed another Getsuga, charging into the smoke once more. This time, Naruto's cry of pain was heard, and when the 2 Inuzuka fighters came out of the smoke this time, they were accompanied by Naruto, who was flying out of it and impacted with the ground hard, grunting in discomfort. The smoke cleared to show a wooden dome that had been raised to protect Naruto. The dome, however, had been completely torn open. Is that all you've got? Kiba asked, grinning as he rubbed his nose in satisfaction. Man, I knew I had grown stronger, but I didn't expect you to be this weak, Naruto. So, you're Kiba? Naruto asked as he pushed himself to his feet, smirking at Kiba. Then, he turned to his clone. Then that's Akamaru. Kiba's eyes widened as Naruto shot forward at a speed they hadn't been expecting, grabbing a hold of Akamaru. They were even more surprised when Naruto's arms transformed into wood, which lengthened and wrapped around the transformed Niken. It's over, Naruto said calmly, turning his cold eyes toward the wide-eyed Kiba, just as 2 hands burst through the floor, grabbing Kiba's ankles. Doton, Shinjuzanshu no Jutsu, Earth Element, Double Suicide Decapitation Technique. Came Naruto's voice from the floor, and Kiba cried out in shock as he was pulled into the floor until only his head was visible. Slowly, Naruto rose from the floor, seemingly growing out of it, and he stood up, grinning down at Kiba. Sorry we couldn't have an all-out epic battle, Kiba. However, these are just the preliminaries. I don't want to show off all my moves to my potential opponents. Damn you! I'm gonna. You can't move an inch, Naruto said, squatting down in front of Kiba. Well, if you still don't feel like giving up, I suppose I can threaten with snapping Akamaru's neck if you don't. He muttered, rubbing his chin. Lucky for you, I'm not that cruel. Proctor, I could kill him. Call it. Winner, Senjin Naruto. Naruto grinned and grabbed Kiba's head, pulling him out of the floor as though it was water. The hole underneath him immediately closed, and the clone holding Akamaru slowly retracted its limbs and sank into the floor. Then, Naruto headed back up to his team. Next was Rock Lee vs Sabaku no Gaara. This match was intense. Lee showed off some amazing taijutsu moves, and beat the living shit out of Gaara, but Gaara was protected by his sand. Then, Lee opened the celestial gates, and went nuts on the Suna Genin. However, once again, his sand protected him, and he managed to crush the wounded Lee's arm and leg, resulting in his victory. Hyuga Niji vs. Kinyuda Dosu. This match was ended relatively quickly. Although Dosu bragged about his arm would be capable of completely disorienting Niji, the Hyuga didn't even give him a chance to use it, immediately coming at him with a flurry of juken strikes, ending with one to the chest that completely knocked the genin out cold. The final match was Aburaim Shino vs Akimichi Chuji. This one, too, ended relatively quickly. Ino had gotten Chuji's spirits up by bribing him with barbecue, but despite Chuji's energy, Shino immediately covered the chubby genin with his destruction bugs, draining him of his chakra. Winner, Aburaim Shino, Hate announced and coughed into his hand, before continuing. Well, with this, the preliminary trials for the third exam have been completed. Everyone, please come down here. The genin got down from the stands, and soon stood in front of Anko, Ibiki and Hate. To all of you who won the rights to compete in the third test in the Chunin selection exams, congratulations to you all! Hate exclaimed, before turning to the Sandame. Well then, Hokage-sama, if you would please. Yes, the Sandame said and walked forward. Well, now I'd like to start explaining the main test. As I told you before, in the main event, your matches will be seen by everybody. Each of you will fight to represent the strengths of your countries. I'd like you to show off all your powers with no reserves. Which is why the finals will be held 1 month from now. This break, as you might call it, will be for preparations. What does that mean? Niji asked, looking a bit more agitated than usual, occasionally glancing to the side to glare at Hinata. In other words, in addition to informing all the various country lords and shinobi leaders, this is the time needed to arrange for the gathering of the event. And this is also preparation time for you examination students. I don't understand what you're trying to say. What does it mean? Kankuro asked. Basically, it's the preparation to get to know your enemy and yourself. It's the time period where you calculate your chances of winning by analyzing the data you accumulated during the trial competition, the Sandame explained, puffing on his pipe. The battles up to now had you fight as if you were in an actual combat situation with the assumption of fighting an unknown opponent. However, the final trial will not be like this. There are those who showed all that they can do already to their rivals. There are those who competed and were badly injured against a strong opponent. To make everything fair, the 1 month should be used by all of you to advance and improve yourselves. Of course, it'll be fine to rest your body as well. Well, I'd like to dismiss you now, but there's something that has to be done for the finals before I can do that. More? Shikamaru asked, sighing. Geez. Well now, don't get so excited. There are pieces of paper inside of the box that Anko is holding, so each of you take 1 piece. Anko held up a square box to show the genin what the old man was talking about. Now I'll come around, so wait your turn. All the genin reached into the box as it was handed to them, and drew their numbers. Once they'd announced them, the Sandame spoke up. Alright, now I'll reveal to you the final tournament. That's what we drew the numbers for? Naruto asked, wide-eyed. Now, Ibiki, show them the match arrangements. Yes, sir, Ibiki said and held up a piece of paper. First match, Hyuga Hinata vs Hyuga Niji. Second match, Senju Naruto vs Aburaim Shino. Third match, Sabaku no Gaara vs Kankuro. Fourth match, Uchiha Sasuke vs Nara Shikamaru vs Temari. Well then, you're free to start planning strategies or resting as you like. With this, I'll dismiss you all, but are there any final questions? The Sandame asked, and Shikamaru raised his hand. Can I ask a question? Yes. Since it's a tournament, it would mean that there's only one winner, right? Which would mean that only one person can become a Chunin, doesn't it? No, that's not quite it, the Sandame spoke, smirking. There will be judges, including myself, the Kazekage, lords of various countries that will make mission requests, and other ninja leaders, who will be watching the final test. Throughout the tournament, these judges will be evaluating your abilities. Those judged to have the necessary qualities of a chunin will be able to become a chunin, even if they lose in their first match. That means that it's a possibility that everyone here will become a chunin? Temari asked. Yes. But there's also the possibility that no one will become chunin. To advance in the tournament means that you will have more chances to appeal to the judges. Did you understand, Shikamaru-kun? The Sandaime asked, which got a sigh from Shikamaru. Geez, this is so troublesome. Well then, thanks for all the effort you exerted for these trials. You're all dismissed until a month from now, the Sandaime announced, smiling at them all. Chapter end. Naruto had to sweat drop at the sight before him. Kakashi had told him that Jiraiya would be waiting for him at the hot springs. When Naruto asked his sensei what the man looked like, the Cyclops just said, "You'll know him when you see him." That could only mean that Jiraiya was pretty unique, and upon noticing the sight in front of him, this guy was special. The man was tall, obviously, Naruto could tell even though the man was sitting down. He had long, white hair and a spiky ponytail, wore red and green, had a large scroll on his back, and a red line going down his face from each eye. Oh yeah, and he was openly giggling and peeping into the hot springs. Well, Naruto said, stuffing his hands into his pockets, when Kakashi-sensei said I'd know you when I saw you, he said it in a very extreme tone, so although he may just have been exaggerating. HM? The old man uttered as he turned away from his peephole, looking toward Naruto. Who are you, brat? Senju Naruto. You're Jiraiya? The old man's eyes widened, and a bright smile appeared on his face. I sure am. So you're Naruto, eh? Ho, you've grown into a fine shinobi, that's for sure. I heard you were made my godfather, Naruto said, his hands still in his pockets. I suppose you had your reasons for not being there when I grew up, but it was a pretty shitty thing you did. But I suppose you can repay me by training me well. Jiraiya twitched in annoyance, and he gave Naruto a heated glare. Just who do you think you are, brat, trying to guilt-trip the great Gamma Sennin, Toad Sage, Jiraiya-sama? You're right, you don't deserve a guilt trip, Naruto said, nodding slowly as he closed his eyes and rubbed his chin in thought. I mean, it wasn't like you were close to my old man or something. And it's not like he named you godfather because he was counting on you to take care of me when he couldn't, right? Jiraiya twitched again, and he turned his back to Naruto, probably hoping to keep the guilty look on his face from Naruto's view. Behind him, however, Naruto put up 2 fingers in a victory sign. In any case, Naruto, there's no need for the guilt trip, Jiraiya said, turning back toward Naruto, who swiftly lowered his hand. The only reason I came back to this village was for the sole purpose of overseeing your training. That's right, the great Gamma Sennin is going to be training you personally, he exclaimed, striking a pose. Naruto blinked, then tilted his head to the side. Am I supposed to be honored? Damn right you're supposed to be honored, Jiraiya snapped. How many do you think have the privilege of claiming that they have received training from one of the legendary Sannin, huh? Well, fact is, you're getting older. You're no longer in your prime, and you spend your days writing smut, Naruto said with a shrug. Are you sure you're even in shape enough to keep up with a youngster like myself? Watch yourself, brat. You're 100 years too early to compare yourself to the likes of Jiraiya-sama, Jiraiya said, puffing out his chest with pride. Anyway, do you want to learn from me or not? Wow, take it easy, Naruto said, waving him off. I was just messing around. Lead the way, O glorious Arrow Master. Arrow Master, Jiraiya repeated, twitching. I hope he won't be going around calling me that in public. It'll really damage my reputation, especially with the ladies. The Gamma Sennin cleared his throat and gave Naruto a grin. Well then, Naruto. We will begin right away. I'm going to be teaching you an incredible jutsu. Alright. Are you sure about this, Sasuke? Kakashi asked slowly as he and Sasuke walked far away from the village. It'll cut into our training time. I'm sure, Sasuke said, nodding. I'm always trying to stay on the same level as Naruto, and I get the feeling I'm going to need this. In the distance was a fortress shaped like a cat. Sasuke had never been there before, but he had heard both Nekoba and Itachi talking about it. The Cat Fortress, home of the Niniko, ninja cats. You didn't have to come with me, Sasuke told Kakashi. After all, you can't come with me inside. They'll smell the dog on you. I couldn't very well let you leave the village on your own. You'd be much too exposed, Kakashi said as he fished out his book and opened it, sitting down on a tree that had fallen over. Well, I'll be waiting for you here. Go do whatever it is you have to do. Sasuke nodded, and without another word walked off toward the fortress in the distance. Kakashi glanced up from his book to stare at Sasuke's retreating back. I acted like the carefree teacher and followed him without question, hoping he'd tell me on his own, but… Kakashi's eye closed sadly, and he sighed, his head slumping. I'd really like to know what he's gonna do. Shaking his head, Kakashi went back to his Ika violence, turning the page as he kept reading. And then Shusan told Kure-chan, "You will never catch this hero off guard." He charged. Slowly, Kakashi's eye moved away from the book to stare at Sasuke again, who still hadn't disappeared from view. Damn you, Sasuke. I can't even focus on my Ika, I'm so curious. Alright, Naruto, Jiraiya said as he stood with Naruto some distance away from Konoha, his arms crossed. You've progressed further than I had anticipated, but that's good news. That means I won't have to explain too much. I'm sure you've heard of the Kuchiyos no Jutsu, summoning technique? I have, Naruto said with a nod. Jiraiya grinned as he bit his thumb and flashed through some hand seals. Kuchiyos no Jutsu, Jiraiya called as he slammed his hand down on the ground. There was an explosion of smoke, and when it cleared, Jiraiya could be seen sitting on a large, pale orange and green toad, which had a large scroll in its mouth, and wore a necklace with 7 large beads on it, with the kanji for loyalty on the central, largest one. The toad unrolled its tongue and held the scroll out to Naruto with it. The blonde took it and lay it down on the ground, unrolling it to show 5 signatures signed in blood, with fingerprints underneath each signature. This is the contract with the toads that has been passed down through many generations, Jiraiya explained. You write your name in blood, and under that, you press your fingerprints in blood. Then, when you want to call them, mold chakra and place down the hand you signed the contract with. The hand seals are board, dog, bird, monkey, ram. Naruto nodded and bit his thumb, before signing his name and leaving his fingerprints on the scroll. Now, Naruto, how much chakra do you have? Naruto hummed and closed his eyes, molding some chakra to activate his sensors. Then, he opened his eyes again and looked at Jiraiya. I'd say, about 1/5 less than you. Jiraiya twitched at that. Why you do? Yeah. I've always had massive chakra stores, but when Sasuke started to catch up in that department, I had to step up my game. The toad disappeared in a poof of smoke, leaving Jiraiya standing there with his arms crossed. Since you have that much chakra, I don't really have an excuse to have you learn how to use it. Naruto, you have 2 kinds of chakra, Jiraiya said, opening his eyes to stare at Naruto seriously. 2 kinds. Naruto repeated, furrowing his brow. You mean I can use Kyuubi's chakra? Know about the Kyuubi, do you? Yes, its chakra is yours to use. It's an amazingly powerful chakra that should be. No, Naruto interrupted, shaking his head. I am Senju Naruto, not the Kyuubi. I'll become an amazing ninja without relying on its chakra. Naruto, I don't think you realize, I've made it this far without it, haven't I? But, Yash, I'll try the Kuchiyos now. You brat. Stop interrupting me. Shut up, Yaro Master. I couldn't give 2 shits what you have to say. Why you? The two glared at each other for a good long while. But then, Jiraiya sighed, a small smile on his face. Very well. I'll believe in you. Alright then, become an amazing ninja on your own, starting with mastering the Kuchiyos. Alright. I'll be over there, Jiraiya said, pointing off at a waterfall in the distance, under which they had seen several girls bathing when they came here. With a wave, Jiraiya blurred out of view. TCH, old pervert. Naruto muttered, shaking his head as he bit his thumb and swiped some on his palm, before going through the required hand seals, pumping out chakra and calling out, Kuchiyos no Jutsu. There was another explosion of smoke, this one much bigger than the one that appeared when Jiraiya summoned his toad. When the smoke cleared, it revealed that Naruto was standing on a massive toad, who towered over the trees around them. It was colored a dull, rusty red, but around his eyes and lips and chest were brighter red markings. Over his left eye, he had a long scar. He wore a blue happy vest that had the kanji for shrimp on the back, carried a massive dosa blade at his hip, and had a large kizura pipe in his mouth. What the hell is this? The toad barked in a gruff voice, looking around. Hey, Jiraiya! Why did you summon me here? He glanced at his nose, to see Naruto standing there, grinning at him. Why is there a little punk on me? Where's Jiraiya? What do you want him for? Naruto asked. I'm the one who summoned you here. The toad blinked once, staring at Naruto in disbelief. He muttered, you? And Naruto nodded, still grinning. This caused the toad to laugh. Loudly. You shouldn't lie, punk. There's no way a little shrimp like you could summon me. Naruto's eye twitched as the toad kept laughing. He tapped his foot impatiently, waiting for the toad to finish, but it seemed he never did. Therefore, Naruto snapped, stomping his foot down. Hey, you piece of shit toad! I'm the one who summoned you! It was I, Senju Naruto-sama. I am your master! The toad's eyes widened, but immediately narrowed dangerously. What the? Who the hell do you think you are? Some little kid is claiming that he's the master of Boss Toad Gamabunta-sama? You want your head ripped off, you little shit? Hey! Don't snap at me. I'll kick your ass if you don't show a little respect. Summoning someone like you on the first attempt at my age makes me worthy of at least some of that. Naruto yelled, clutching his fist and shaking it at Gamabunta. First attempt? Kick my ass? Don't make me laugh, shrimp. I'll pop your head like a balloon. Naruto narrowed his eyes. So, what you're saying is you won't accept me as your master? Gamabunta-sama has no master. I take orders from no one. Naruto could see in Gamabunta's eyes that the toad was stubborn. There was a fire in his eyes that Naruto saw every day in the mirror. Heh, maybe they would be a good match if they just learned to get along. Well then, I'll make a bet with you, Gamabunta. A bet? I'm listening. You don't have to accept me as your master, but you will accept me as your summoner, and help me out if I need you. Of course, this is only if I can stay on your back until that, Naruto said, pointing at the sun, which had just started rising in the east. He moved his hand to point at the horizon in the west. Goes down there. Ho, that's an interesting bet, brat. What do I get if you lose? What do you want? Gamabunta chuckled slowly and dangerously, narrowing his eyes. If you fall off my back, brat, you will have to give me a full body scrub down with a sponge. Even in all the hard-to-reach places. Naruto flinched at the thought of giving a toad a sponge bath, especially one as big as Gamabunta. He immediately shook those images out of his head, however, and grinned defiantly at the toad. Deal, Gamabunta. Senju Naruto, was it? Gamabunta asked, and Naruto nodded. Well then, it's a bet, Naruto. I'm not going to make it easy on you. Gamabunta crouched down, and then shot into the air at an unbelievable speed. NYAA. A cat wearing armor cried dramatically as he flew through the air, impacting with the ground, unconscious. Sasuke was standing in the topmost room of the cat fortress. The room was lit with a dim, blue light, a purple carpet leading up to a bamboo curtain, behind which a silhouette of a very large cat could be seen. Ho! You made it all the way here, came a voice from behind the curtain as the silhouette's head rose slightly. Well, I'd recognize that hairstyle anywhere. I've heard a lot about you. Uchiha Sasuke, the Nikko Bitoku, cat defiler. Sasuke blinked slowly at that. Nikko Bitoku? That sounds disgusting. I've done nothing to earn such a name. Haven't you? You were running around, all those years ago, capturing my kin and taking their paw prints. The silhouette barked angrily. To a cat, that's like how it is for a human to be stripped naked and photographed. What's so wrong about that? Sasuke asked, a smirk appearing on his face. Do you have anything to be ashamed about? Don't be ridiculous, human! The silhouette roared angrily. Sasuke's smirk widened. He must have hit a nerve. In any case, you are Nakomata, are you not? Sasuke asked, raising an eyebrow. I understand that you have the summoning contract for the Niniko in your possession. What about it? The silhouette, Nakomata, asked, apparently calming down. I want it. I want the allegiance of the Niniko, and I want you to fight for me whenever I call for you. Nakomata was silent, and Sasuke knew his eyes had widened in shock. Then, he chuckled. The chuckle grew into a loud laugh. You are bold, brat, making demands of me like that. What makes you think I will give my allegiance to you? Because if you don't, I will just have to beat you until you do. It will be quite painful for you, Sasuke said simply, his Sharingan activating. So, what will you do? Nakomata scoffed, and Sasuke saw him performing hand seals behind the curtain, preparing to use a jutsu. Don't, Sasuke said, stopping the cat. You are preparing to use a genjutsu. I can just tell you that genjutsu are useless against these eyes. Don't embarrass yourself by trying a jutsu that won't work. Nakomata chuckled softly at that as he rose to his feet, walking around the curtain to stand before Sasuke. He was large and white, and the tip of his tail was purple and split in two. His body was covered in scars, but the one that stood out the most was the one going across his left eye. Your Sharingan has developed that much at such an early age? Truly, you are Itachi's little brother. Sasuke tensed. You know Itachi? He came here, for years ago, Nikomata said with a shrug. Then he grinned. Well then, if genjutsu won't work, I'll go with brute force. With that, he slammed his paw down on Sasuke. Meanwhile, some distance away, Kakashi heard the rumble, and looked up from his book, turning to look at the fortress in the distance. Now I'm really curious, he thought, giving the fortress a longing stare. I want to know what's happening over there. Damn it! Fall off, you little shit! Gamabunta barked angrily as he furiously shook his head left and right and up and down in an attempt to get Naruto to fall off his head. Naruto had attached himself with chakra, so he wasn't falling off any time soon. Slowly, Gamabunta stopped shaking his head, closing his eyes and panting. He had been at this for hours now, after all. Well, Naruto said, turning to look to the west, there's still an hour left, but you can quit now, if you want. Like hell I will. Gamabunta exclaimed, shooting into the air again. Gamabunta went at it for another full hour. Soon enough, the sun had completely disappeared behind the trees, and a panting Gamabunta exhaled loudly and glanced up at the grinning Naruto. Senju Naruto. You're an interesting guy. I consider myself an honorable toad, and since I lost the bet, I will honor it. I accept you as my summoner. The toads will fight for you if you need help. Thanks, Gamoe-bun, Toad Boss, Naruto said, giving Gamabunta a thumbs up. I have to say, though, that blonde hair fills me with nostalgia, Gamabunta said, a smirk appearing on his face. After all, the last person to ride on my head was the Yondaime. Huh? My old man? Yeah, it was 13 years ago, but I remember it like it was yesterday. After all, you don't tend to forget it when someone summons you on top of the strongest bijou. When he first summoned me, he and I made a similar bet. Oh? He got you to accept him as his summoner too? After a while. He was a bit more respectful than you, so I took him in even after he lost, and was forced to give me a sponge bath. Gamabunta took a drag on his pipe, letting the image of the Yondaime Hokage giving the toad a sponge bath sink in Naruto's head. He exhaled the smoke, then stared at Naruto again. You have the fire of your parents in your eyes, Naruto boy. I expect great things from you, Gamabunta said, then glanced to the west. Well, it's late, and the kids are probably worried. Later, Naruto. Later, Gamoe-bun, Naruto said, giving Gamabunta a lazy salute. The toad exploded into smoke, returning home, wherever that may have been. Nikomata flinched as Sasuke took a step toward him. The monster cat was on the floor, beaten, his fur bloodied. He also had a cut across his right eye, matching the scar across his left. Monster. Nikomata grunted out, shivering. Why, you're a monster! I am Uchiha Sasuke, Konoha Shinobi, Sasuke said calmly as he sheathed his sword. And I will have what I came here for. You are beaten, Nikomata. Are you going to give it to me? Despite his fear, Nikomata managed a weak grin. He coughed once, then said, You truly are Itachi's little brother? You beat me just as quickly as he did, and you were also just toying with me, damn you. Nikomata rolled over onto his stomach and pushed himself up, moving behind the bamboo curtain. When he came out again, he was holding a large scroll in his paw, which he handed over to Sasuke, who took it. Well, you beat me, there's no denying that, Nikomata said, humming softly. The Uchiha clan is something special, eh? I guess that being in the possession of your clan isn't such a bad thing. Nikoba and her cats seem to like you, after all. It's appreciated, Sasuke said, nodding his head to Nikomata, before turning around and walking away. When Sasuke reached the spot where Kakashi was waiting, the Jounin immediately shot over to Sasuke, looking at him and the scroll expectantly. So, what did you do? Kakashi asked eagerly. Sasuke just smirked and held up the scroll. I procured the Niniko's summoning contract for the Uchiha clan. Niniko? Kakashi asked, blinking. That's a shame. I had been counting on you signing a contract with my Niken. No thanks, I prefer cats. The Uchiha clan are used to dealing with them. Well, at least now he's back, and I know what he was doing, Kakashi thought as they started walking, and he fished out his book, opening it. Now I can focus on this again. The very next day, Hinata rose early, as she had done every day since the preliminaries ended. She could feel that she definitely had grown stronger, but she could get stronger still, there was no doubt about that. Therefore, she had requested training from her father, who had agreed. There was little doubt that her father had been greatly surprised by Hinata's sudden improvement. In the last few spars between Hinata and Hanabi, Hinata had always been the one who remained standing. In all honesty, Hinata only had Naruto and Sasuke to thank for that. Hinata couldn't imagine what her life would have looked like if she had lost to Sakura during the graduation, if she had ended up the girl with the second best grades, which would have landed Sakura in Team 7 and Hinata in Team 8. So now, Hinata got ready, had her breakfast, put on her sparring uniform, and went outside to the Hyuga training ground, where she found her father waiting. "Are you ready to begin?" he asked sternly, and Hinata nodded as she took her spot in front of Hayashi and assumed a juken stance. "Well then?" His eyes drifted shut, and he appeared to be deep in thought. "There is little doubt in my mind that, despite being of the branch family, the Hyuga blood burns the hottest in Niji's veins. He is an amazing prodigy, and you are going to need all the help you can get against him, even with your drastic growth. Therefore, I will be teaching you a new technique today." Hayashi's Byakugan activated as he opened his eyes and got into a juken stance. "I will be teaching you Jukenhu, Hack Rokujin Sho, Gentle Fist Art, 8 trigrams 64 palms. Woo Juken!" This whoop caused both Hyuga to blink and turn to the side, to see Naruto and Sasuke sitting on the sidelines, grinning and smirking respectively. "What are you doing here?" Hayashi demanded. "How did you get in?" "Well, first and foremost, we came here to cheer for Hinata during her training," Naruto said, grinning still. "We've both taken a day off from our own training," Sasuke supplied. "But our secondary objective was to better protect our teammate by discovering and pointing out flaws in Hyuga security," Naruto continued and pointed over his shoulder. "By the way, during the 0900 hours guard shift, there is a blind spot in the security in the northwest corner of the compound. The Hyuga training regimen is strictly forbidden for outsiders to see," Hayashi said, sounding a bit outraged. "You should know this. I told you that last time." "Well, I've been thinking about that. Sure, I'm a total badass when it comes to learning new jutsu and crap, and Sasuke here has the Sharingan, but in all honesty, the Juken is pretty much useless to anyone who doesn't have a Byakugan, right?" Naruto asked, scratching his head. "So, I don't see what the problem is." Hayashi's eyes narrowed dangerously, causing Naruto and Sasuke to flinch. "So, Dango?" Sasuke asked Naruto, who nodded. With that, the two blurred out of view. "Your friends are excellent at snooping," Hayashi commented disdainfully. "They are great friends, father," Hinata said, smiling softly. "Sasuke-kun is excellent at analyzing strengths and weaknesses, and pointing out what needs to be worked on in order to become balanced, and Naruto-kun." Hinata trailed off as she tried to find the words for it. "Well, Naruto-kun has a personality that just makes you want to become the best you can be." Hayashi stared at Hinata for a long time in thought. Hinata has never showed any real talent. A short while after becoming a genin, her talent suddenly skyrockets. "Senjin Naruto, huh? What an interesting guy." Jiraiya stood in front of Naruto, his arms crossed as he stared at his new student. Currently, Naruto was sitting cross-legged on the ground with his back turned, meditating and molding chakra. All around them, the trees were moving, swaying and twisting. Jiraiya had to admit, the guy had talent, a lot more than Jiraiya did at his age. It seemed like he only inherited the best traits from his relatives. He had Kushina's temper and monstrous chakra stores, he had his father's talent, looks, and his guts. Not only that, but he had somehow managed to come up with a lesser version of Tsunade's monstrous strength, and possessed the Nidame's senses, and the Shodai's Mokutan ninjutsu. "This guy is so good, it's almost unfair," Jiraiya thought with a small grin. "Hey, Naruto." The trees around them suddenly straightened and went still again as Naruto turned his head to look at the old pervert. "Yeah? Come here," Jiraiya said, beckoning him closer. Naruto sighed and got up, walking over. "What? It's not another scheme to have me pose as your grandson so you can get chicks, is it?" "Not really. I'm going to teach you a new, cool jutsu." "It's a jutsu your father created," Jiraiya said, making Naruto's eyes widen with excitement. Jiraiya chuckled and held up his hand. Chakra started swirling in it, taking the form of a ball in his hand, inside which chakra was swirling wildly, looking like there was a raging chakra storm inside the ball. "This is the Rasengan, an A-rank ninjutsu. We've only got 22 days left until the third exam, so I don't expect you to master it before then, but we might as well get started now." The Rasengan died down, and Jiraiya took a scroll out of his vest, unsealing a paper bag filled with water balloons. Jiraiya picked one up and held it out to show Naruto. Then, the balloons started bulging everywhere, and suddenly exploded. "See what I did just now?" Jiraiya asked, raising an eyebrow. Naruto narrowed his eyes in thought as he stared at Jiraiya's drenched hand. "You rotated the water," Naruto said, and Jiraiya nodded. You have done both the tree climbing and water walking chakra exercises, yes? Yeah? The tree climbing exercise focuses on concentrating a certain amount of chakra to your foot. This helps you work on regulating the chakra output. Water walking focuses on continuously releasing a set amount of chakra to remain on the water. In this step of the training, you use the water walking exercise basically. You are to release a set amount of chakra into the balloon with a continuous flow, Jiraiya said, picking up a balloon and tossing it to Naruto, who furrowed his brow as he concentrated on releasing his chakra, rotating it. The balloon stretched, but it didn't start bulging like Jiraiya's balloon had. It doesn't look the same, Naruto noted, to which Jiraiya nodded, a smirk on his face. Can you figure out why? Obviously, we did it differently, Naruto said as his eyes drifted closed in thought. Jiraiya watched as Naruto stood there in silence for a good minute. Then, his hand started shaking the balloon up and down, then left and right, then diagonally, then back and forth, shaking the balloon in all directions. Then, Naruto's eyes snapped open, and he started focusing chakra into the balloon again. This time, the balloon started bulging everywhere, before exploding. Oh wow, Jiraiya said, crossing his arms with a smirk on his face. I had been told that Sasuke was the brains of the duo. Didn't take you long to figure out the trick to the test. Just because Sasuke is smarter than me, that doesn't mean I'm dumb. Besides, when it comes to ninjutsu, I'm unrivaled, Naruto said with a grin. So, what's the next step? Wait, Jiraiya said, gesturing for the bag with the balloons. That was quick. I want you to pop 10 more, so you can really get a feel for the first step. You're gonna need it. Step 2 is 100 times harder. Jiraiya took 10 balloons out of the bag, then sealed it up again. As Naruto got to work popping them, Jiraiya unsealed another paper bag, this one filled with rubber balls. Another step like that? Naruto asked as he was tossed one of the balls. Yep. Now you must break that ball, Jiraiya said, holding up a rubber ball and blowing it up with minimal effort. The first step is rotation. This step is to add power. Without the water, it's harder to feel the chakra, so it's hard to power it up or control it. Practice this for a bit. With that, Jiraiya turned to walk away. Where are you going? Naruto asked as he stared at the ball in his hand. I'm heading into the village. A man needs to relax, after all. Whether you pop the ball or not, we'll meet here tomorrow, same time. Naruto watched as Jiraiya left. Then, he turned his gaze back to the ball and did the same thing he had done with the water balloon. The ball started bulging, but only slightly, and then died down again. TCH. The first step was counterproductive. Naruto muttered, sitting down. Using water first made it seem easier than it is. Should have started with this step so you could get used to the difficulty right away. 10 days were left until the third exam. Naruto was sitting on the ground in the same spot he had been every day for the last few weeks. Jiraiya had felt very smug. So far, Naruto had only managed to pop a hole in the balls. The boy had managed to pop the water balloon much quicker than Jiraiya, but when Naruto took so long to pop the rubber ball, he regained a bit of pride, even though he knew Naruto should have been able to pop it a long time ago. Concentration isn't exactly something you lack, Jiraiya said, crossing his arms as he stood before Naruto. You should have popped this ball a long time ago. What's the problem? Naruto's brow furrowed as he stared at the ball in his hand. I'm just worried, I suppose. Worried? Why? I'm getting this bad feeling. Like shit's about to hit the fan, or something like that. Plus, Hinata is facing Niji in the third exam, which is cause for worry as well. I've been able to pop it since the second day, Naruto said as the ball in his hand started bulging, and then exploded, much to Jiraiya's surprise. I just needed some time to think about things. Humph, Jiraiya huffed, crossing his arms. Show off. So, what's the third step? Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow. Now, Jiraiya unsealed the third bag, this one containing balloons again. However, these balloons were filled with air, and not water. The first step was rotation, the second step was power, Jiraiya said, picking up a balloon and holding it up for Naruto to see. The third step is this. Nothing happened. Naruto started molding chakra, and his eyes widened when his senses picked up on what was happening. You're forming a Rasengan inside the balloon, aren't you? Correct, Jiraiya said with a smirk. The point of the third step is to bring out the first two steps at 100% and maintain it. In short, you not only have to keep the spinning and the power at their greatest, but you also have to make a layer inside the balloon to contain the chakra. This requires a large amount of concentration, because the higher the destructive power, the more you have to add, and the quicker you have to spin. Thus, the outer layer must be stronger. Slowly, Naruto nodded. Then, he picked up a balloon and said, "Alright, time to get to work." Naruto stood in a loose stance in the arena on the day of the third exam. With him were Sasuke, Hinata, Temari, Kankuro, Gaara, Neji, Shikamaru, and Shino. "Good thing you're here," Naruto muttered to Sasuke, smirking. "I was afraid that you'd pick up some of Kakashi's tardiness." "Well, he actually wanted to get some last-second training in, but I wanted to be here on time," Sasuke said, smirking as well. Naruto glanced at the Suna trio as the Kazekage arrived at the top box. Gaara was staring up at the man with nothing but hatred in his eyes. The Sandaime stood up. "Thanks, everyone, for coming to the Konoha Chunin selection exam. We will now start the main tournament matches between the 9 participants who made it through the preliminaries. Please stay and watch until the end. There's something I'd like to tell you before the matches," the proctor, Ginma, as Naruto had learned that his name was, said, turning to them. "Look at this," he said, and took out a piece of paper, showing the matches. "In case you didn't pay attention the first time, these are the matchups. Check once again to see who you're fighting." After holding the paper up for a few more seconds, Ginma pocketed it. "Alright, guys, this is the final test. The arena is different, but the rules are the same as in the preliminaries, as in there are none. You fight until one of you dies or acknowledges defeat. But if I determine that the fight is over, I'll step in and stop it, you got that?" Everyone either nodded or did nothing. No one said anything, but it was clear to everyone that they all understood. "Now, the first fight, Hyuga Hinata and Hyuga Neji. Those two stay here, while the rest of you go to the waiting room." Hinata took a deep breath to steel herself. Both her teammates gave her comforting pats on the shoulders as they headed off toward the waiting room with the others. Soon enough, only Hinata, Neji, and Ginma were left on the arena floor, Hinata and Neji facing each other, with Ginma standing off to the side. "I never thought I'd be facing you, Hinata-sama," Neji said, staring hard at Hinata. "Neji knees in." Hinata mumbled, closing her eyes and taking another deep breath, before opening them again. "First match of the third exam. Begin," Ginma said, officially starting the match. However, Neji apparently didn't feel like starting the match yet. "Before we start the match, I'd like to say something, Hinata-sama," Neji said, narrowing his eyes. "You don't make a good shinobi. Forfeit now." Hinata tilted her head to the side, and Neji explained, "You are too kind. You wish for harmony and avoid conflict. You agree with others, never resisting. And you have no confidence in yourself. I always feel your sense of inferiority. That's why I thought it would be best for you to remain a genin. But the Chunin exam can only be taken as a team of 3. You couldn't turn down your teammate's request, and unwillingly entered. That's reality. Am I wrong?" "Yes," Hinata said, making Neji blink. "Kakashi-sensei told us all that it was completely voluntary to enter. We all entered willingly, without being pressured by anyone else. I entered this exam because I wanted to change." Neji sighed. "Hinata-sama. As I thought, you are a spoiled brat of the main house. People cannot change themselves. Losers are losers. Their personality and strength will not change. Because people cannot change, differences are born. Expressions like elite and loser are created. Looks, brains, ability, size, personality. All people judge and are judged in these values. Based on these unchangeable factors, people discriminate and are discriminated against. And they suffer within their own means. Just like the fact that I am from the branch family, and you are from the main family cannot be changed. I have seen through many things with this Byakugan. So I know, you are just acting strong. Deep inside, you just want to run away from here." Hinata's eyes drifted shut, and her head lowered slowly, which made Neji smirk. "Your eyes closed, and you ducked your head. Defense mechanisms that," Neji knees in. Hinata interrupted in a voice that was much different from her usual voice. It was still soft and gentle, but there was an edge to it that had never been there before. When she raised her head again and opened her eyes, her Byakugan was activated, and she slipped into a Juken stance. "Please stop trying to talk me to death, and let's fight instead." A bark of laughter that could be easily recognized as Naruto's was heard from the opening in the arena wall where the other competitors were standing, while Neji flinched in surprise. However, his eyes immediately hardened, and his Byakugan activated as well as he gritted his teeth and assumed a Juken stance. "Fine. I'll show you that you cannot change your destiny." Neji charged at Hinata, and the two became engaged in a Juken fight, which was something that was actually quite beautiful to look at. The Juken was very graceful, and when two opponents had the same graceful flow, It looked more like a violent dance than a fight. Niji was visibly frustrated by this, as it would appear that the two were evenly matched. Each strike that Niji threw at Hinata was blocked or deflected, and each strike that Hinata threw was met with the same defenses. The fight continued like this for several minutes, both fighters moving at amazing speeds. Naruto, watching from the stands, looked at Sasuke, who was observing the fight through narrowed eyes. "Tch," he uttered, crossing his arms. "She really is too soft." "Yeah," Naruto said with a nod. "If it were you, she'd already have you on the ground, writhing in pain." "She used a cheap shot," Sasuke muttered, directing a glare at Naruto. "You'd do the same if someone kicked you in the junk." Naruto laughed to himself, then looked down at the fight again. Naturally, he couldn't keep quiet. "Hey, Hinata! Don't go easy on him just cause he's family. Kick his ass!" As if obeying Naruto's order, Hinata surprisingly quickly batted one of Niji's attacks out of the way and lashed out, hitting him with a juken strike to the left shoulder. Niji grunted in both pain and surprise, skipping back a couple of steps and staring at Hinata in shock. "I have changed, Niji-Nizan," Hinata said softly, staring at Niji with pity. "People can change. I was once weak, but I have become much stronger. Naruto-kun once told me that our destiny is what we make it." The talk of a loser clinging desperately to the hope of improving their life. Niji growled out. "Don't think you can beat me, just because you managed to hit me once." Niji charged at Hinata, and once more they became engaged in that flowing, deadly dance that was a juken fight. "Hinata! Give him the Sasuke special!" Naruto barked out, which caused a noticeable blush to appear on Hinata's face, despite her being completely focused on fighting Niji. Meanwhile, Sasuke cringed at the mention of that move. Hinata batted another strike out of the way, then closed the short distance between them with a spin, which ended with her knee flying up and smashing straight into the soft spot between Niji's legs. The male Hyuga's eyes bugged out, and every single male member in the audience winced and covered their junk with a loud, shocked OH, as sympathy pain coursed through them. As Niji was no doubt trying to blink the lights of pain out of his eyes, Hinata took advantage of the situation and got into a strange stance, crouched down slightly with her left as pointing forward and down, and her right pointing backward and up. "Nizan, you are in the range of my hack. Jukenhu, hack Rokujri Show." Niji only had time to go wide-eyed before Hinata charged forward, jabbing him twice with her fingers with a cry of, "An I show!" Then 4 times, yelling, "Yan show!" This continued, Hinata doubling her strikes 3 more times, and finished off striking him 64 times with a cry of, "Rokujri Show!" Niji cried out in pain as he flew back, spitting up blood. He impacted hard with the ground and rolled several feet, before coming to a stop on his back. "I am possible," he grunted out through gritted teeth. "This can't. I used to think like you, Niji-Nizan." Hinata mumbled as she walked up to Niji, staring down at him. "I thought I was weak, and I was, and I thought I would never become strong like you. I bought into your comments about destiny. However, I've changed. Naruto-kun and Sasuke-kun showed me that it doesn't matter who you are, or where you are from. As long as you try your best and work hard, you can overcome anything, like how I managed to defeat you just now. Food for thought, Niji-Nizan." Genma smirked as he watched Hinata, who turned around and walked off. "Winner, Hyuga Hinata!" Applause broke out in the audience. Up in the spectators' box, Sasuke was smirking and clapping, while Naruto was whooping and cheering loudly. "Will Senjin Naruto and Abirame Shino come down here, please?" Genma called out once the applause and cheering had died down. Naruto gave a triumphant laugh as he hopped down into the arena, while Shino, calm as ever, decided to take the stairs. Soon, Naruto and Shino were standing in the middle of the arena, facing each other. "Naruto, we have come a long way since we were chosen to spar in the academy," Shino said in his usual monotone. "It would be foolish of you to assume that my power level is the same as then, just as it would be foolish of me to think that of you." "You know, Shino, I think that's the longest sentence I've ever heard you say," Naruto said with a small grin. "But you were always strong in the academy, ranking second strongest and all, so it'll be fun to see if we still draw." "Such an outcome is unlikely," Shino said simply, taking his hands out of the pockets of his jacket. Second match of the 3rd exam. "Begin!" Genma called, and Shino immediately spread his arms out. "Why is it unlikely?" "Because unlike in the academy spars, we are not limited to using only taijutsu. Those destruction bugs are damned gluttons," Naruto thought with his eyes narrowing slightly, watching as the bugs started flying out of Shino's sleeves to swarm around him. "I've got plenty of chakra to spare, but it'd be crappy to waste it all in the first match, especially since I'd be fighting Hinata in the next one. I actually have to plan this match? I'm no good at that. Suddenly, Naruto's eyes widened, and he leapt to the side, jumping away several feet. How sneaky of you, Shino, he said with a small grin on his face. But unfortunately for you, I'm a pretty decent sensor. I can sense the chakra inside every single one of your bugs. They won't sneak up on me. Shino was smart. Hell, he was a lot smarter than Naruto, so the blonde knew that the bug user was already making plans for how to proceed. I don't want to give you the upper hand by leaving you on the offensive, so I'm gonna go ahead, alright? Naruto said, flashing through seals. Mokuton, Shishuru no Jutsu, Wood Element, 4-Pillar Prison Technique. Shino's eyebrows almost shot into his hairline as timber burst from the ground all around him, trapping him inside a wooden cage. Naruto, however, furrowed his brow, and with a tch, changed his hand seal from a snake to ram, which caused wooden spikes to shoot out of the bars, impaling Shino, who dispersed into a swarm of bugs. Naruto furrowed his brow, trying his damnedest to sense Shino. At the last second, his eyes widened, and he spun around in time to block a punch coming from behind him. So, Shino had let almost all the bugs in his body leave so that he could hide better. If it wasn't for the fact that 3 bugs stayed in him, Naruto would never have sensed him. Naruto lashed out with a punch, which was dodged, but he utilized the momentum from the swing to bring his leg up in a backspin kick, which connected with Shino's cheek with enough force to send him flying through the air, impacting hard with the wall of the arena. That was careless of you, Shino, Naruto said with a smirk as Shino pushed himself to his feet. Was it? Naruto went wide-eyed at that, realizing that he had let his senses dull during the fight. Activating his chakra sensor ability, he discovered no less than 19 destruction bugs on his body. Damn, even for so few bugs, they were suddenly sucking out his chakra quickly. Naruto leapt away, and only his fur-collared shirt remained in place, the only article of clothing that actually had bugs on it, leaving him in his mesh shirt and armor plating. Tch, your bugs are fast eaters. Naruto muttered, flashing through seals again. Doton, Dosakiryu no Jutsu, Earth Element, Earth Dragon Technique. Suddenly, the ground in front of Naruto shot into the air, forming a dragon made out of dirt, which charged straight at Shino, whose eyebrows shot up again, and he was forced to dodge the attack again and again. Naruto was actually planning ahead this time, so when Shino's back hit the 4-pillar prison, he triumphantly switched hand seal from rat to snake, and wooden poles shot out of the bars to wrap around Shino, who muttered a what? In surprise. Shino, Naruto said as the dragon disintegrated. I'm sure your bugs can eat through this wood. However, he put his hand in a half-ram seal, and a spike grew from the bar Shino was strapped against, to poke him in the back of the neck. Could they eat through it before that spike pierced your spine? This was unexpected, Shino said. Why? Because you have never shown yourself to plan ahead before. I underestimated you. Proctor, this match is over. I forfeit. Genman nodded and raised his hand. Winner, Senjin Naruto. Surprisingly, applause broke out, which shocked Naruto, as no one had ever really shown that they liked him before. Or maybe they just did it as a courtesy. Nonetheless, Naruto liked it, so he grinned widely and raised his hands in victory as he jogged over to his shirt to pick it up, the wooden prison retreating into the ground, leaving no sign that it was ever there. When Naruto reached the spectator's box, he found both his teammates waiting and smiling at him. Well, smirking, in Sasuke's case. Good job. But he almost had you with his distraction, Sasuke commented, and Naruto gave an embarrassed grin. Yeah, almost. I was just lucky he sent so few bugs after me. Then again, if he'd sent more, I would have sensed them sooner. You did great, Naruto-kun. Hinata praised. I'm expecting you to do the same in the next round, Hinata, Naruto said, his grin turning excited. It'll be you against me. Hinata's confidence, what little she had mustered so far, vanished in an instant as she made that realization, and her eyes widened in fear. Don't worry, Sasuke said with a smirk. Just give it your all, and you can walk away with your head high whether you win or not. Yeah, don't go soft on me, Hinata. I'm looking forward to this, Naruto said, patting her on the shoulder. Will Sabaku no Gaara and Kankuro come down here? Genma called. Immediately, Kankuro's eyes widened in fear as he cast a terrified look at Gaara, then raised his hand and called out, Proctor, I'm gonna forfeit. Boos were heard from the crowd at that, their blood having started pumping with the previous 2 matches, and Gaara gave Kankuro a dangerous stare. Well then, Uchiha Sasuke and Naruto Shikamaru, come on down. Sasuke smirked, and after Naruto patted him on the shoulder, he hopped down into the arena just like Naruto had done. Shikamaru sighed to himself as he stared down at Sasuke, who gestured for him to come down. How troublesome. Proctor, I'm also gonna forfeit. Let the Suna girl fight him. The crowd started booing again, but Shikamaru looked completely unaffected by them, instead just plopping down with his back against the railing, his eyes drifting shut. Temari scoffed and drew her fan, giving it a swing which mustered a gust of wind. She leapt out of the box and rode the wind on her fan down into the arena, landing in front of Sasuke with a smirk on her face. Alright then. The fifth match of the first round. Begin! Temari immediately pulled her fan back and then swung it, calling, Futon, Kamaitachi, Wind Element, Sickle Weasel Technique. A gale of wind was sent forth, looking more like a horizontal hurricane than anything, but Sasuke didn't dodge or anything. He just smirked and flashed through hand seals, ending in a tiger, which made Temari's eyes widen. Katon, Gakaku no Jutsu! Sasuke called out, bringing his hand to his mouth, before blowing out a massive fireball that smashed into the Futon Jutsu. It drew power from the clashing technique, and the flame burned hotter as it pushed through the wind and charged straight at Temari, who leapt out of the way, just as the fireball smashed into the ground where she had just been, exploding. Dust and smoke rose in a great cloud from the explosion, and Temari was seen coming shooting out of it. She landed a bit unsteadily, and Sasuke immediately saw why. Her right leg had been kinda badly burned by the attack, as had the back of her right hand. The Suna Genin was gritting her teeth as she glared at Sasuke, who kept smirking. I think you might want to give up now, you being a Futon user, and me being a Katon user, Sasuke advised, grabbing the hilt of his sword and slowly drawing it out of its sheath. From here on out, I'll be getting serious. Heh, think I'll give up just cause I'm at a disadvantage? Temari asked with a scoff. Get real. Katon. Sasuke muttered as he finished drawing his sword and gave it a twirl to hold it horizontally in front of him. Isohoho, Fire Element, Sharp Spear Blade. Suddenly, the entire length of Sasuke's Chikudo was engulfed in flames. As Sasuke charged at her, Temari felt a bit more confident. After all, he didn't have very large flames right now, so it would be impossible for him to overpower her attacks, right? Futon, Kamaitachi. Temari called once more, swinging her fan and sending forth a blast of wind at Sasuke. What happened next, however, greatly surprised her. Sasuke swung his sword at the incoming attack, and amazingly deflected it. No, that was wrong, he took control of it. He kept spinning with his swing and leapt through the air, the entire Futon attack catching on fire and trailing after him in a spiral of fire, as though it was a long, burning cloth hanging from his sword. As soon as he had crossed the distance between them with his leap, Sasuke switched to a reverse grip and slashed his sword down at Temari, whose eyes widened as she dodged. She thought dodging 3 steps would be enough, so she didn't expect all the fire trailing after Sasuke's blade to compile and slam into the ground as well, and like water against rocks splashing to the sides, rushing straight at Temari, who barely had time to gasp before it smashed into her. Temari was heard screaming as she hurriedly jumped out of the fire, but much of her body was already badly burnt, and some of her clothing was on fire. Landing on unsteady legs, she patted the fires out as quickly as she could, but not quickly enough. As soon as she looked up, Sasuke was already in front of her, and half a second later, his knee was planted deeply in her stomach, making her cough up a decent wad of both blood and spit. Next second, the butt of his sword impacted with the back of her head, effectively knocking her out. Going against an uchiha using jutsu that are weak against my own. Sasuke muttered, the fire on his blade vanishing as he twirled it a few times, before slowly sheathing it. After the hilt clicked against the sheath, he shook his head with a scoff. Foolish. Winner, Uchiha Sasuke. Surprisingly, the cheers for Sasuke weren't all that much louder than the cheers had been for Naruto. Even more surprisingly, or it would be for anyone who didn't truly know Sasuke, he wasn't upset about this. As Naruto was damn near his brother, he felt the blonde deserved the acknowledgement for his victories as much as Sasuke himself did. After all, he could do almost every Sasuke could, and yet his intelligence could only rival a brick. Huh. Naruto muttered in the stands, narrowing his eyes. What is it, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked. It's strange. Sasuke won, so I'm feeling happy for him, but for some reason, I also feel a sudden urge to slug him on the mouth. Hinata giggled at that. After all, both Naruto and Sasuke had, ever since she became part of Team 7, almost always been able to sense when the other was talking about them. In fact, during one workout session, Sasuke had revealed to Hinata that he admired Naruto, because he was an idiot who actually managed to succeed. 5 minutes later, Naruto had come rushing onto the training ground, having been at home before that, and punched Sasuke on the jaw, claiming that he got a sudden urge to do so. And once, Naruto had muttered something about Sasuke being a stuck-up prick who probably cheated at Janken with his Sharingan somehow while they were at Ichiraku Ramen, having lunch. A few minutes later, Sasuke had showed up and smacked Naruto on the back of the head. Hinata still didn't understand how they could sense those things. There will be a half-hour break right now, to allow the fighters to recuperate before the second round fights, Genma announced. Please wait patiently until the next match is called. Hey, here he comes, Naruto said with a grin as Sasuke came up the stairs into the spectator's box, a smirk on his face. That bit with the isohaha at the end? Freaking beautiful, man. I agree, Sasuke-kun, Hinata said, smiling softly. You moved with a very nice flow. Graceful, even, Naruto said, then struck a very fruity pose with his arms flapping slowly like wings, and his right leg extended backward as if making to leap into the air. Almost like a swan. Say what you will, I don't think swans are very graceful, Sasuke said with a shrug, which made Hinata's eyes widen. It was a well-known fact that the swan was her favorite bird. I suppose that depends on the person looking at it, she muttered, but both Naruto and Sasuke could see the small glare she was sending Sasuke's way, which was a huge step forward compared to how she was back at the academy. So, is there a reason why we're talking about freaking swans during our break? Naruto asked, leaning back against the railing while furrowing his brow in confusion. Do you have something better to talk about? Sasuke asked, raising an eyebrow, which made Naruto hum as he tilted his head back in thought. Fingers, he said after a moment of silence, which made his teammates blink. He held up his hands to show them his fingers. Look at them. Why are they called fingers when you never see a thing? Naruto burst out laughing at his own joke, but the laughter slowly died down when he noticed that his teammates, yes, even Hinata, were looking at him like he had just stuck his finger in poo and then licked it off. Without warning, Naruto was socked on the mouth by Sasuke. Ow! Naruto whined, clutching at his mouth. What the hell, man? It was a just punishment, Sasuke hissed with narrowed eyes. I felt my own IQ drop from hearing that crap. Geez, I get it, Sasuke gets testy after a fight. Naruto muttered as he licked the inside of his lips to check for blood. Good thing your punches feel like there were 3 pillows between your fist and my face. Sasuke looked on the verge of snarling at Naruto, but it was only his pride as an uchiha holding him back from doing so. Sasuke took a deep breath, and reminded himself that Naruto was only trying to rile him up, and he wouldn't give the blonde the satisfaction of him getting pissed. So, when this is over, what are we eating? Naruto asked, changing the subject seeing as Sasuke wasn't going to snap at him. The Uchiha in question raised his fist for another Janken, but Naruto pointed at their other teammate. Let Hinata decide for once. Whatever you two want is fine by me. Hinata mumbled, but both Naruto and Sasuke turned to give her stern looks. Hinata. Naruto muttered, which made Hinata jump, as his tone held the promise of tougher training sessions, a usual punishment he and Sasuke had taken to threatening her with whenever she reverted to her meek, quiet self. Why yakiniku sounds good. That's a good idea. I have no objections, Naruto said, and Sasuke nodded. Same here, sounds good. The half-hour break passed kinda slowly for Team 7. Sasuke spent it by juggling kunai, Naruto sat against the railing and tried to touch his nose with his tongue, and Hinata spent it by closing her eyes and fantasizing about something. Every so often, she would smile or blush, so whatever it was must have been good. Alright, I'm thinking of something. Lavender, Naruto said when the half-hour was almost up, sitting on the railing. Sasuke was leaning against it with his left arm and right elbow, his chin resting in the palm of his right hand as he looked out at the arena. Is it Hinata's eyes again? Man, you're good at this. Naruto praised with a grin. Alright, now I'm thinking of something. Red. The Sandame's hat. Damn it! I thought for sure you'd guess Gaara's hair. Alright, the first match of the second round is about to begin, Genma announced, having flickered into view in the center of the arena. Oh, thank whatever deity is out there, Sasuke muttered in relief. Those in the crowd who had left the stadium during the break had by now returned, and were eagerly awaiting the following matches. Hyuga Hinata and Senju Naruto, you know the drill, Genma said, and both Naruto and Hinata hopped down into the arena. They walked to the center and stood across from each other, Naruto smiling, and Hinata looking nervous. Genma looked them over. Alright, I hope you're both rested and ready, because the first match of the second round begins. Now! Slowly, Hinata got into a Juken stance, and Naruto got into his own unorthodox fighting stance, his smile turning into a grin. Don't be nervous, Hinata, he said with the encouraging voice he always used during spars to get her to push herself to her limits and beyond. I'm really happy to be able to test myself against you. Let's make this as fun as possible, yeah? Oh, okay, Naruto-kun. Hinata said softly, closing her eyes and taking a deep breath. As she did, her back straightened slightly, her shoulders relaxed, and she shifted her footing slightly. Then, when her eyes snapped open, her Byakugan was activated. I'm ready. They stood stock still for a few moments. Hinata's brow furrowed. Naruto-kun? Naruto gave a small laugh. To be honest, I'm a little nervous of getting in close with you. You're dangerous in close-quarter combat. But then, I really want to push you, so I'm a little torn. Please make the first move, so I won't have to bother with thinking too much. Might blow a fuse. Hinata, to her credit, only hesitated for a second, torn between the horror at the thought of hurting Naruto, and the urge to comply with his request. The latter won out, and she charged at Naruto, who grinned wider. The grin disappeared, however, when he barely dodged the first strike, the same with the following 5 strikes. This was different from the spars. When they trained, they always pushed themselves to their limits, and even though they put on the show of doing the same during spars, they always tended to hold back a bit. Even though Naruto knew that Hinata had been doing the same, he didn't know exactly how much until this match. Naruto caught Hinata's wrist and stepped into her, his shoulder under her arm, and flipped her over him. To his great surprise, however, she landed on her feet and immediately spun around, hitting him with a Juken strike to the kidney, which made him gasp in pain, before immediately leaping away to create a bit of distance between them. Alright, so maybe going easy on her to push her to her limits was a bad idea. As it stood, Hinata and Naruto were probably equal in speed. No, it was slight, but Hinata was a bit faster than him. It showed when she closed the distance between them and attacked again. Naruto was hard-pressed to dodge and deflect the swift strikes being launched at him without pause. He just had to endure, that was the key. Let her tire herself out. He could outlast her 3 times over with ease, there was no doubt about that. But then, that would be unfair to Hinata. He deflected a double strike, and quickly put his hands in a snake seal, causing wooden poles to shoot out of the ground, heading straight for Hinata to restrain her. Hinata, however, did the smart thing and leapt back, no doubt sensing Naruto's intention of forcing her to do so. Alright, time to actually think. Beat her in a way that will let her learn to fix the weakness. Just gotta find a weakness, beyond the obvious lack of stamina, and the weakness against long-range attacks. Let's see. Naruto's eyes drifted shut, but he made sure to keep his senses up so he'd know if Hinata attacked again. Shit! Thinking about crap like this is Sasuke's department. The Juken is pretty damn flawless, flowing, powerful, devastating, and perfectly balanced. I need to. Wait. Balanced? That's it. Naruto was lucky that he came up with a solution when he did, as Hinata chose that moment to charge at him. Naruto grinned and knelt down, bringing his fist down and unleashing as much chakra as possible when he struck the dirt. The result was a punch so hard that it cracked the ground and shook it something fierce, enough to make Hinata, who was just about to attack, stumble in surprise. Now, despite this being an official match, Naruto still decided to strike Hinata as he did during spars. He had never liked so much as the thought of bruising her, but had agreed when she had said that it was important that she learn not to flinch when encountering pain in the field. Therefore, he crossed the distance between them and did a backhanded swing, planting his forearm in her stomach, which made her gasp in surprise and pain. He rolled her over his shoulder again, and this time it worked in tossing her onto her back. Confident that she had come back to her senses by now, he jumped and spun, bringing his fist down toward her. For a moment, he feared that he was wrong, but at the last second, Hinata rolled out of the way as his fist smashed into the ground. Even more surprising, she spun on her back and smashed her heel into Naruto's face with enough force to cause him to tumble across the ground a few feet. He recovered though, shooting to his feet at the same time as Hinata. Naruto went on the offensive this time, but when he reached Hinata, he didn't attack, instead kneeling and punching the ground again, which once more shook her off balance. The Hyuga heiress was surprisingly quick to adapt to this tactic, however, and had regained her balance long before Naruto came up in an uppercut, which was easily dodged and countered with another Juken strike that hit him in the side of his ribcage with enough force to send him stumbling. Naruto-kun, Hinata spoke up. I understand your desire to push me in this fight. But I don't want you to stick with taijutsu when you know that it has you at a disadvantage. I won't be offended if you use jutsu. Are you sure? Naruto asked, and when Hinata nodded, he started going through hand seals. Well, if you insist. Naruto finished his chain in a ram seal, and his cheeks puffed out. Then, he fired a ball of water at Hinata, who danced out of the way. Not finished, though, he fired 3 more at her. The third one was in a path where he had predicted that she would be. So, with a cry of surprise, Hinata dodged right into the ball of water, which knocked her off her feet. Gotcha! Naruto said as he flashed through hand seals again, then slammed his hands down into the ground, which started shaking as 3 wooden poles shot out of the ground and wrapped around Hinata, suspending her upside down in the air. I win, Naruto announced to Hinata, who smiled softly at him. Congratulations, Naruto-kun. Hey, you should be proud, Hinata, Naruto praised, grinning. I had to use ninjutsu to defeat you. If this had been purely taijutsu, you probably would have won. Anyway, I think you'll have to concede to have the proctor call it. You proctor? Hinata uttered, glancing to the side at Genma. I give up. Winner, Senjin Naruto. Genma called out, which caused the crowd to cheer once more. Chapter end. Naruto moaned as he came up the stairs into the competitor's box, clutching at his ribs. That last strike hurt something fierce. Serves you right, Sasuke said with a smirk, passing him, as his match against Gaara was coming up. Shouldn't have gone easy on our girl like that. I just wanted to enjoy the fight as long as possible. Naruto muttered, walking up to the railing and sitting down, just as Gaara vanished in a swirl of sand, reappearing down in the arena. This turned out to be an uncomfortable position, however, so he stood up and leaned forward against the railing instead. This didn't work either, so he straightened up and tilted his head to the side, before grunting and trying another position. Naruto-kun? Came Hinata's voice as she ascended the stairs and approached Naruto, whose eyes narrowed. He uttered in response, placing one hand against the railing with the other in his pocket, his brow furrowed as he tried to adjust himself into a comfortable position. What's wrong? It's Gaara, Naruto said, staring down at the redhead. His chakra feels vile. And he doesn't exactly look like the most stable child in daycare, so. You're worried about Sasuke-kun? Hinata asked as she walked up to stand next to him. No, I'm not worried. Sasuke is strong. Could probably wipe the floor with Gaara. Then why are you fidgeting, Naruto-kun? Naruto's eyes narrowed again. Because I don't think Gaara is as inclined to hold back as Sasuke is. He muttered, but managed to tear his gaze away from the arena floor to look around the stands, taking in everyone's expectant expressions. This is probably the match everyone was looking forward to the most. Oh, there's Kakashi-sensei. Let's go say hi. Meanwhile, down in the arena, Sasuke and Gaara were staring into each other's eyes. Sasuke hated to admit this, but Gaara had pretty intimidating eyes. It was as though he saw Sasuke as nothing but a bug to be crushed, and he had complete confidence that his power level allowed him to think as such. This made him dangerous. Besides, Sasuke had seen Gaara's power in the preliminaries. Not only did he have that sand that rose up to protect him from attacks, but he also had that second skin of sand to protect him as well. He could also control his sand with ease, and use it to crush his opponents. Sasuke would have to be an idiot to think that the sand in the gourd was the only sand Gaara could control. Scraping his foot slightly against the ground, Sasuke took in the texture and found himself gritting his teeth in annoyance. In all likelihood, the very ground was Gaara's weapon. But then, Sasuke was sure the sand techniques were Doton techniques, which meant that it was weak against lightning, Sasuke's second element, which was just perfect. Begin! Genma called, and Gaara's sand immediately shot out of his gourd, which caused Sasuke to leap back to put some distance between them. Gaara looked ready to attack, but then he suddenly clutched at his head, grunting in pain. Don't get so angry. Mother, he whispered with a crazed look on his face. I fed you some nasty blood last night. I'm sorry. But this time, it will be delicious. Gaara flinched in pain and gave another grunt, lowering his face so that Sasuke couldn't see his face. When he raised it again, however, the crazed look was gone, and all that was left was his usual deadened look. Come, he ordered. Sasuke didn't charge in recklessly. Instead, he took a moment to think about this. In all honesty, despite Sasuke's lightning element, Naruto would probably have been the best match for Gaara. He could easily spam clones to sneak one past the defenses, then use his monstrous strength to punch straight through the second defense. After all, if Sasuke used his latest move on Gaara, and had to punch through the sand shield, then even if he managed to hit Gaara, his arm would still be surrounded by sand. Sasuke saw what happened to Lee when he got his arm and leg trapped in Gaara's sand, after all, so he knew what it could do. If I'm going to use taijutsu, I can't slow down. In and out before he can react. If I stay too close for too long, I'm history, Sasuke thought, narrowing his eyes, which turned red as he activated his Sharingan. At least with this, I'll be able to see it coming more easily. Sasuke gave a small scoff of amusement as he pulled back his sleeves to show the weight bracelets on his wrists. I suppose there should be no underestimating you. So, I shouldn't hold back, he said as he tapped the bracelets against each other, causing them to come loose and fall to the ground. Having long since moved on to chakra weights, courtesy of Naruto, Sasuke only needed them on his wrists to make sure he had weight on all of his body, not just his arms. So when the bracelets dropped, he felt light, which made him smirk. Here I go, he muttered softly, before blurring out of view. Half a second later, he reappeared in front of Gaara and sent a punch at him, which was blocked by the sand, which shot up to form a shield in front of the redhead. Not deterred in the slightest, Sasuke blurred out of view again and reappeared behind Gaara, pleased to see that his speed was better than the sand's, given how his next punch connected with Gaara's cheek, lifting him off the ground. I'm not done yet, Sasuke announced as Gaara went flying, and he blurred out of view again, reappearing underneath the airborne Gaara and kicking upwards, sending him shooting up into the air. Sasuke blurred away one more. This time, he reappeared behind Gaara in the air, a smirk on his face. In the stands, standing with Kakashi and Hinata, Naruto's eyes widened, and he couldn't help but laugh softly. Kagebuyo? Heh, even when he's getting his ass kicked, it seems he can't resist copying moves. Let's see if I can't break through that armor of yours, Sasuke said to Gaara as he flipped him around and swung his left arm, smashing his forearm into Gaara's ribs with enough force to spin him in the other direction, at which point he swung his right arm, slamming into his other side. Sasuke repeated this move several times, finishing off with a forearm to the throat, which flung Gaara downward so he was below Sasuke, who flipped in the air once, then brought his heel down into Gaara's chest just as the redhead impacted with the ground. Sure Rindan, Lion combo, Sasuke proclaimed triumphantly as he saw Gaara's face crack, some chips of sand armor flying off him. Sasuke, however, wasn't fool enough to think that this attack would slow Gaara down, and therefore leapt back to catch his breath. There was something about that move that kind of drained him. Besides, it wasn't like Gaara could repair the armor in a matter of seconds, so Sasuke had time. Though if I had Naruto's strength, I could have probably finished the match with that blow. It pains me to admit this, but I don't have the chakra control necessary for such strikes. During training, yes, but in a split second in the middle of a battle? Hell no. Only Naruto and Tsunade could pull that crap off. Freakish Senju. Gaara pushed himself to his feet, panting, his deadened look long gone, to be replaced by a look of rage. What's he doing now? Sasuke thought with narrowed eyes as Gaara put his hands in a ram seal. The sand surrounding Gaara rose up to form a ball around him, an impenetrable shield. This made Sasuke's eyes widen, and he rushed forward toward the only opening in the sand, praying he'd make it in time. If he shuts himself in there, he'll be able to recuperate in peace. The opening Sasuke was aiming for with his punch was rapidly closing. Sadly, however, he wasn't fast enough. The sand was sealed just as his punch connected, and a large amount of sand spikes shot out of the ball with such speed that it was only thanks to his Sharingan that Sasuke was able to dodge them without injury, leaping back to create some distance between them again. Well, Naruto already knows I copied it, but I had been hoping to wait to show him until the finals, Sasuke said with a small smirk as an eyeball of sand was formed floating above the sand shield. But I guess you're too tough for me to go through this match without using it. Sasuke flipped backward several times, up onto the arena wall, then smirked wider as he stretched a bit. Well, let's see how this holds up in a real fight, he said to himself as he flashed through 3 seals, before gripping his right wrist with his left hand. A spark flashed in the palm of his hand, then another, until his hand was enveloped in lightning chakra, so condensed that it could be seen with the naked eye. In the stands, Naruto's eyebrows shot up. Oh wow, Sasuke isn't exactly holding back. I guess he wasn't as inclined to do so as I thought. Naruto-kun? Hinata said, giving Naruto a quizzical look. Sasuke has pushed a whole 1/5 of his chakra into that single attack, Naruto explained, looking impressed. That beast should cut through anything. Sasuke, on the wall, smirked wider as his Sharingan started spinning. Then, he took off. The only thing showing where he was running was the trench his lightning-covered hand left in the wall, and the ground, as he charged at Gaara. The lightning in his hand gave off a chirping sound, like thousands of birds shooting toward the target. Chidori! Sasuke cried as he stabbed his hand into the sand, the corners of his mouth curving up into a triumphant smirk as his hand sank through the sand, and into something warm and wet on the other side. He could feel bone at his fingertips, but it wasn't a spine. So, his aim had been a bit off. Probably just hit him in the shoulder, or the chest, puncturing a lung at best. Better than nothing, though. Gotcha, Sasuke said simply, glaring at the sand dome with his blazing Sharingan. What's this warm stuff? Came Gaara's voice from within. Mother. What did? Uchiha. Blood. My blood. TCH, shit. Sasuke muttered as he felt the sand tightening around his arm. He tried to pull it out, but the sand was just gripping him harder and harder. It wasn't just around his arm where the dome was. It was the entire length, all the way down to his wrist where his hand was buried in Gaara's body. Sasuke's Sharingan started spinning again as he charged even more lightning chakra into his attack, which caused the lightning to cover him all the way up to mid-bicep. Another cry of pain came from Gaara inside the dome, and Sasuke felt the sand loosen enough for him to pull his arm out. He pulled something else out with it. Some kind of demonic-looking sand arm was holding onto his own arm. He managed to escape from its grip and jumped back, gritting his teeth. Sasuke looked down at his arm to see that it was cut in several places, and was already starting to bruise. Some pressure you've got there, he muttered with a scoff. The sand dome bled away to reveal Gaara, panting and clutching at the hole Sasuke had punched in his shoulder. His eyes were wide and looked more crazed than ever. Suddenly, Sasuke saw a feather drift down in front of him. Looking around, he saw that a whole heap of feathers were falling from the sky. Genjutsu? He asked, canceling it with his Sharingan. Looking up at the stands, he saw Naruto and Hinata putting their hands in a ram's seal and canceling it as well. In a blur, Naruto and Hinata had joined Sasuke down on the arena floor. This is interference, Sasuke commented offhandedly, to which Naruto gave a grin. Somehow, I don't think this genjutsu is Gaara's doing, the blonde said, looking around at all the sleeping people in the stands. Any theories? Why are you asking me? I've been a bit busy, if you hadn't noticed. A smoke bomb suddenly went off in the Hokage's box, making Team 7 go wide-eyed. They didn't have time to focus on that, however, as 4 more people blurred into view in front of them. It was Genma, Temari, Kankuro, and the Tsunejounin Baki. Naruto! Sasuke barked at his best friend, who gave him his full attention. Go check on Hokage-sama. What about you? Something's off about this freak, Sasuke said as an explosion went off in the distance. When the smoke cleared, they could see a massive 3-headed snake having been summoned outside the east wall. Evidently, this is some kind of invasion, and that snake freak is at the center of it. Judging by the smoke bomb, the Sandaime is the target. You're a Senju. Protecting the will of fire is somewhat your duty, no? I'll take care of Gaara. TCH, there you go, taking charge again, Naruto mumbled. Alright, I'll leave this to you, Sasuke, Hinata. Yeah. Good luck, Naruto-kun. Naruto gave both of his teammates a pat on the shoulder, then blurred out of view and reappeared on the roof in front of the Kage's box, just in time for the Kazekage's 2 bodyguards to be sliced in half by an ANBU, a captain, judging by the white robe he wore. A blur shot out of the smoke, landing on the roof of the box. It was the Kazekage, and he was holding the Sandaime from behind with a kunai at his throat. GG! Naruto yelled, his eyes wide in shock. 4 shapes shot out of the 4 halves of the bodyguards, to form a square formation some distance around the Kazekage. Naruto and the 4 ANBU shot after them, but didn't have time to catch them before they all formed seals, and a purple barrier formed around the Kazekage and Hokage. Sensing the potent chakra in the barrier, Naruto's eyes widened when he noticed that 2 of the ANBU were on a collision course. Shit! He grunted out as his hands formed a snake seal. 2 wooden poles shot out of the roof and wrapped around the ANBU, catching them before they hit the barrier, and another pole shot out for the still airborne Naruto to land on. Don't touch it! He barked at the ANBU as he hopped down to land next to the captain, while the poles set down the 2 ANBU. This barrier is superheated. You'll burn to a crisp. Thanks for the assist, Naruto-san, the captain spoke in a surprisingly calm and collected voice. But then, one could expect no different from a veteran ANBU. My expertise lies mostly in assassination techniques. I hear you're a decent censor. Any ideas? There's no way anything physical will pierce that barrier, and neither will any chakra pass through, Naruto said, analyzing the barrier. It's a 4-point barrier, so only one of the casters needs to be taken out for the whole thing to come crashing down. And since we can't pierce it, we can only rely on Hokage-sama to bring it down from the inside, the captain concluded, nodding. Shit. Naruto looked down at the arena floor, to see the trio of Tsunagenin rush off, probably at the order of their sensei. He was pleased to see that Sasuke and Hinata gave chase not even a second later. When he looked back to the Hokage, he saw the Kazekage reaching up and literally pulling his own face off like a mask, to reveal a pale, snake-like face underneath. Orochimaru. Naruto growled out through narrowed eyes. Shit, he's good. Managed to hide his chakra signature from me until now. So, in the forest. He wanted me to know where he was? They watched as Orochimaru released the Sandaime, and walked a few steps away from him, taking off the Kazekage hat and robes. The Sandaime removed his robes as well, to show that he was wearing battle armor underneath, an unusually serious look on his face. So, if Hokage-sama could take out just one of those 4, we could join in. The captain muttered, giving off a TSK of frustration. As if hearing him, the 4 Oto ninja forming the barrier suddenly formed another one inside, protecting them from attack. Naruto gritted his teeth at that and knelt down to the roof and pressed a finger against the tiles, while his other hand formed a half-ram seal. What are you? Another ANBU asked in confusion. I'm trying to find a weak spot. Naruto muttered, putting all of his concentration into the sensing. Then, his eyes widened when he felt that it was only a thin layer of chakra connecting the bottom of the box, and not an actual barrier. He flashed through seals at an amazing speed, ending in a snake seal. Mokuton, Shimura Budenoki no Jutsu, Wood Element, Strangling Vines Technique. He called out as the roof started rumbling. Then, several wooden poles, thinner than his usual ones, burst out of the roof under the 4 Oto ninja, wrapping around them and lifting them into the air. The attack broke their concentration, and the barrier faded out of view as the vine-like wood wrapped around them tightly enough to make them cry out in pain. They moved upward, wrapping around the next of the Oto ninja. One of them seemed to have 2 heads, so he took no chances and wrapped a vine around both neck. Then they tightened. Cracks were heard, and all 4 bodies went slack, their struggles ceasing. Now that the barrier was down, and the 4 Oto ninja were down, Naruto and the 4 ANBU rushed over to the Sandaime to stand protectively in front of him. Orochimaru! The ANBU captain exclaimed. You will not lay a hand on Hokage-sama. What's this? Orochimaru asked, a smirk on his face which was absolutely terrifying in Naruto's opinion. 4 flies have joined the fray. Unfortunately, such prey is too weak for my tastes. I'll have you disappear now. You bastard! The captain yelled out and made to charge. Stop! The Sandaime ordered. Yura, take your team and make sure the guests are alright. Naruto, I think your skills will be put to better use pursuing Gaara. The ANBU hesitated for only a second, but then dashed off. Naruto, however, stayed right where he was. Naruto, don't try to send me away, GG, Naruto said simply. Remember, I'm a Mokuton user. Given your teachers, my techniques should be the ones you work best with, right? Although I doubt I'm at your power level, I can at the very least provide you with backup. The Sandaime stared into Naruto's unflinching eyes for a moment, then sighed, a small smile on his face. Very well, he said finally. This may very well be my last fight. I'm happy that I will be fighting next to you. Naruto was way too proud to announce aloud just how much those words moved him. He just grinned and turned toward Orochimaru, who was simply watching them in amusement. How touching. Well then, Sarutobi-sensei. It seems your beloved surrogate grandson gets to watch you die. The shock's worn off, Naruto said, his fists clutching. You won't be able to freak me out again. We'll see, Orochimaru said with a sickening grin. His hands shot up and formed seals at a speed Naruto had trouble keeping up with, and the Sandaime had already flung a shuriken at Orochimaru and was also flashing through seals. Shuriken Kage Bunshin. The Sandaime called, and Naruto watched as the one shuriken turned into 50, all of them heading straight for Orochimaru, who finished his chain of seals by clapping his hands together. Kuchios, Edo Tensei, summoning, impure world resurrection. The Sandaime's eyes widened when 2 coffins rose out of the roof. One had the kanji 4-1 on it, and the other had the kanji 4-2. The hell? Naruto uttered as the Sandaime flashed through seals again, ending in a snake seal as the 50 shuriken impacted with the coffins, which Orochimaru used as a shield. Gigi, what is this? Prepare yourself, Naruto-kun, the Sandaime said in a very grave tone of voice. You are about to meet your ancestors. My. Naruto trailed off as the lids of the coffins fell down to reveal who was inside. Standing in the coffin marked one was a man with tan skin, despite the lack of blood in the body, and waist-length black hair combed back with 2 single locks framing his face. He wore all black, along with dark red armor, traditional back during the Warring States period. And standing in the coffin marked 2 was a tall, fair-skinned man with white, shaggy hair, dark-colored eyes, and 3 red markings on his face, 1 under each of his eyes, and 1 on his chin. He too wore traditional shinobi armor, but this one was blue, and he also had a white fur collar that Naruto easily recognized, along with the hapuri on his face. Shodai. Naidame. Naruto uttered in surprise. It's been a long time, Saru, the Naidame spoke, his gaze drifting toward Naruto. Oh, it's you. You've grown old, haven't you, Sarutobi? The Shodai said, sounding, if only slightly amused. I would not have thought I would meet with you 2 brothers again in a situation like this. The Sandaime muttered. It is regrettable. Please prepare to be defeated. Shodai-sama. Naidame-sama. It's them, isn't it? Naruto asked, the hope he had been clinging to that this was just an elaborate genjutsu slipping away from him. Oh, who is this Saru? The Naidame asked. A copycat? Actually, Senju Naruto is Shodai-sama's great-great-grandson, the Sandaime informed them, smiling slightly for the first time. Quite the inheritor of your wills. I wish we could have met under different circumstances, Gigi's, Naruto said with a bow of his head. The Naidame hummed and looked behind him at Orochimaru. Edo-tensei, huh? This youngster is the one who summoned us with the Kinjutsu, huh? He's quite something. If that's so, then, Sarutobi, Naruto. I guess that would mean that we would have to fight against you, the Shodai said regretfully. How about you cease the old folks' chatter and get started, why don't you? Orochimaru said as he approached the 2 Hokage, raising his hands, both of which held a kunai with a tag hanging from each. No matter how much the world changes, there is always fighting. The Shodai muttered, which made Orochimaru chuckle. You like it that way though, right? Making tools of the dead. Nothing good will come of playing with time. The Sandaime scolded, narrowing his eyes at the snake freak. Meanwhile, now far from the walls of Konoha, Sasuke and Hinata were in hot pursuit of Gaara. I'm a bit worried about Naruto-kun, Hinata said softly, her Byakugan activated. Don't worry about him, he can handle himself, Sasuke said reassuringly. Just focus on the task at hand, alright? We'll meet up with Naruto for yakiniku later. He gave Hinata a soft smile. Usually, one wouldn't have thought anything of it, but coming from Sasuke, who rarely smiled at anyone, this showed Hinata that the Uchiha had complete confidence in not only Naruto's ability to survive, but also their own. Hinata, steeling herself, nodded. Then, her eyes widened. Sasuke-kun, we have pursuers! Sasuke tensed up at hearing that. How many? 8, no, 9 ninja with Otogekure headbands. And there's only 2 of us. Not great for laying in ambush. Sasuke muttered, gritting his teeth. No, even then. Their commander is Orochimaru, a former Konoha ninja. Which means they know our tactics, Sasuke concluded. That Kankuro guy talked to his sensei like Gaara was an important weapon in this invasion, which means that it will most likely be difficult to fight him, his siblings, and the Oto ninja at the same time. Divide and conquer. Hinata mumbled, to which Sasuke nodded. Yeah. We'd have to split up, one of us acting as a decoy for the Oto ninja, while the other keeps up the pursuit. I can. Sasuke turned his head to look at Hinata, to see her giving him a small smile. Sasuke-kun, I'm sorry for being selfish, but I think Gaara would be the more difficult opponent. That's why. I can stay behind, and act as a decoy. At this, Sasuke looked ahead once more, his eyes narrowing. He gave off a noise of agreement, albeit reluctantly, then turned to look at Hinata again. If you don't survive this, I'm going to drag you out of the afterlife to kill you myself, understand? Hinata gave a nervous smile and a nod, then promptly stopped on the next branch they landed on, while Sasuke kept going. She took a deep breath in an attempt to steady herself, her eyes drifting shut. No less than 3 minutes later, 8 of the Oto ninja landed on the forest floor below, to find Hinata standing there waiting for them, her eyes with a hardened edge to them. What's this? The evident leader of the ninja uttered, sounding amused. One brat? It's the Hyuga girl we were warned about, and Oto Ninja to the leader's left said. Remember, we shouldn't play around with this team. Hinata got into a juken stance and glared at the ninja with her Byakugan. This is as far as you're going to go, she announced as firmly as she could, but even then it was still soft, and evidently didn't carry much weight, as the ninja just started laughing at her. Any other genin, save for maybe Sasuke and Naruto, would have been caught off guard by the ninth ninja coming down at her from behind, but not Hinata. Her Byakugan saw it, and she was sure she surprised the other ninja when she spun around and deflected the kunai aimed for her head, before swiftly delivering a juken strike to the man's throat. Hinata felt the bile rise in her throat when she felt the man's throat give away from her strike, which crushed it easily, but she was a ninja, and these men were enemies, so she couldn't afford to go into shock right now. You bitch! The leader exclaimed in shock, then gave a hand signal, which caused the other 7 to charge at Hinata, who steeled herself and took a deep breath as she spun to face them. Her spar with Hanabi hadn't meant much. Prodigy or not, Hanabi was still a child. And Naruto and Sasuke always held back in spars. Therefore, Hinata had doubted how much progress she had made in her training. Now, however, fighting these men, she could tell how much she had progressed, and could tell that Naruto and Sasuke had held back much less than they claimed. The strikes seemed to come at her in slow motion, and she dodged and countered with a surprising ease. Plus, this fight gave her an opportunity to test out the new move she had been working on, a combination born from her father's Kaiten, Revolving Heaven, and her training in medical ninjutsu. Jukenhu, Senpu no Mezu, Heavenly Fist Art, Whirlwind Scalpels, she proclaimed as the 4 remaining ninja came at her from all around her. She started spinning with an amazing speed, but unlike the Kaiten, she didn't create a dome of chakra. Instead, she covered her hands with chakra scalpels, and became a spinning top of invisible blades, slicing into the enemy with blades so thin that the wounds weren't even visible. But their internal organs took damage, that was for sure. To the 4 attacking ninja it looked as though Hinata had just spun and hit them with karate chops, felt like it, too. And for a moment, there was silence. Then, the 4 victims cried out in pain and collapsed to the ground, clutching at their chests. Impossible. The leader growled out as he clutched at his chest. What did you? I severed several muscles around your heart, and cut off all chakra flow to it, Hinata explained, exhaling slowly, thus destroying any possibility of healing the damage. I did so with each ninja I took down here. Of course, they aren't conscious to complain. This can't be. The leader growled out, trying to rise but failing miserably. Our intel said. You were the weakest member of your team. I am the weakest member, Hinata confirmed, a small smile on her face. That's a scary thought, isn't it? Well, I'm sorry, Oto-san. I haven't yet become so jaded that I can take the life of a defenseless enemy. So, I have to leave you here. Wait. The leader grunted out, but Hinata had already jumped off. Well then, shall we begin? Orochimaru asked as he sank the kunai into the back of the 2 Hokage's heads. But before that, I really must have the both of you return to your true forms. Steam started rising from the 2 walking corpses, and all signs of deterioration started vanishing. Within moments, both looked completely alive, as though they had never been dead. They look as they did even more so now. The Sandaime muttered, and Naruto glanced at him, to see him. Hey Gigi, you're not hesitating, are you? I am mortified, I admit, but I am fully prepared to do what needs to be done, Naruto-kun, the Sandaime said, tensing up. You still have a chance to go help Sasuke-kun, but I doubt you will. I'm with you, Gigi. The Sandaime grunted, then said, Shodai-sama is a Mokuton user, as you know, and Nidaime-sama is as one with Swate and Jutsu. These are the men you inherited your skill from, so you should somewhat know what you are up against. That's why you should know to stay on your guard. Just the title Hokage was enough to put me on guard, Gigi, Naruto said with a shaky grin. The Sandaime chuckled, then clapped his hands together. I am attacking, he announced, then flashed through a chain of hand seals. Katon, Karyu Enden, Fire Element, Fire Dragon Flame Bullet. The Sandaime blew a stream of fire at the 2 Hokage that was so hot that even Naruto, standing next to him, flinched slightly. Suetun, Suijin Hiki, Water Element, Water Encampment Wall. Came a cry from within the flames, and steam rose when the fire impacted with a wall of water that suddenly shot up around the 2 Hokage and Orochimaru. Once the fire died down, the water wall collapsed, but the Nidaime was quick to form a hand seal, and call, Suetun, Suryuden, Water Element, Water Dragon Bullet. Naruto, the Sandaime called. Way ahead of you, Naruto said, flashing through seals. Suetun, Suijin Hiki. Naruto spat up a large amount of water, which rose to form a shield around him and the old Hokage. The water dragon that was roaring toward them smashed into the shield, at which point Naruto switched hand seal to a ram's seal and tensed up. The water in the wall started moving clockwise, like a raging river surrounding the two, and the water dragon merged with the shield bit by bit, until the shield had doubled in size, and there was nothing left of the dragon. Naruto sighed in relief. If that had been anyone but a senju, someone whose chakra is compatible to mine, that would never have worked. Well, Naruto-kun, now you know what you have to live up to, the Sandaime said with a small smirk on his face as the Shogai clapped his hands together in a snake's seal. Look out! I know! Naruto exclaimed as both of them leapt into the air, the Sandaime forming a chain of seals, before coughing up a large wad of what appeared to be dirt, which shot up into the air to form a stone wall. Mokuton Hijitsu, Jukai-kuten, Wood Element Secret Technique, Nativity of a World of Trees. The tiles below them cracked as plants sprouted from the roof, growing into trees at an alarming rate, even piercing through the stone wall the Sandaime had landed on with ease. GG. The still airborne Naruto yelled as a branch started wrapping around the old man, pulling him off the wall and down to the roof, another one heading for the blonde. Naruto flashed through hand seals again, then his cheeks puffed out, and he spat out another high-pressure jet of water like in the Forest of Death, which sliced through the branch, and the branch holding the Sandaime. As he fell, Naruto formed another chain of seals, slamming his hand down into the roof as he landed. Mokuton, Shinmin Yusai no Jutsu, Wood Element, Forest Fortress Technique. He called. Wood, about 5 feet thick, shot out of the roof, forming a large building around the Sandaime and himself. The Sandaime grunted as he kicked the severed branch away from him, then clutched at a scratch on his shoulder. As I expected, it's troublesome to deal with both of them at once, he commented, as though this was a simple spar, and things were only a tiny bit too hard for him. This is insane, Naruto muttered, leaning back against the wall and exhaling deeply. I thought Orochimaru was strong. But these guys. Did you see him form a Suryuden with just a single hand seal? The Sandaime let out a as he bit his thumb, then formed a series of hand seals, before pressing his hand down against the ground. Kuchios no Jutsu. There was an explosion of smoke, and when it cleared, a monkey stood before the Sandaime. Well, a man-like monkey anyway. He was tall, insanely so, standing about as tall as Jiraiya, his body and tail covered in white fur, which protruded from his sleeves and pants. He had long hair that reached down his back, along with long sideburns and a goatee. He wore black shinobi clothing with mesh armor underneath, over which he wore a sleeveless kimono shirt with white fur trimmings, and markings reminiscent of tiger stripes on it, which was held closed by a red sash. He also wore a Konoha forehead protector. Sarutobi, the monkey said, looking the old man over. It's been a long time since last you summoned me. What's the reason? And who's the Nidaime-looking brat? Naruto twitched at that, but he had heard many things about the Monkey King Enma, the Sandaime's summon, so he wasn't really keen on mouthing off against him, considering he'd heard that Enma's strength was near equal to Tsunade's. This is Senju Naruto. He's helping me fight Orochimaru, who has used Edo Tensei to summon Shodai-sama and Nidaime-sama. Orochimaru. So it's come to this, after all. Enma muttered. You're pathetic, you know that, Sarutobi? This is all because you wouldn't kill him when you had the chance that time. That's what we're going to do from here on, Sarutobi said, unmoved by the insult. Humph. You're a little too late. Enma? Use the Konganuni, adamantine staff. Despite the fact that Enma looked incredibly rebellious, there wasn't even so much as a second of hesitation before Enma exclaimed. Gotcha. Henge. Enma disappeared in a puff of smoke, to be replaced by a long, very thick staff, which flew at Sarutobi, who caught it. All right, let's go, Naruto-kun. Why yeah, Naruto said, clapping his hands together, which caused the wooden house to sink back into the roof. I am going first, Naruto-kun. Target the airborne, Sarutobi muttered, to which Naruto nodded. Then, the old man charged. Thank you for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see the next part, don't forget to turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Please like, subscribe, and comment below to let me know your thoughts. Check out my other videos for more content you might enjoy. Until next time, take care.